Hello. What I have for you all today is the worst idea I've had ever. Within the Zelda series, there are 355 heart pieces, and I'm going to rank all of them today. Uh, just to clarify, what I'm counting as a heart piece is literally what is called pieces of heart. I am not going to count spirit orbs from Tears of the Kingdom. I am not going to count heart containers that you gain from means other than bosses. It is straight up, if a game calls it a piece of heart, it's what I'm ranking. With that out of the way, as you can see, I have added an F tier already because I know there's at least one F tier heart piece. And with all that out of the way, let's get ready, and it looks like I am starting with some from A Link Between Worlds. Now, this heart piece, very simple, very straightforward, simple reference to Link to the Past, just fall down the well. Except, you can also do it with a chicken, which is a neat little way to get earlier than what looks like intended. Great heart piece, I love it. This is a simple and good heart piece, good B tier. Next up we have this minigame. This minigame is neat in concept, but I hate it. In the rando for Link Between Worlds, I've done this minigame too many times. I love to put it off because it sucks. And the fact that in a vanilla game you have to do it 3 times, kinda bad. I'm honestly ranking this pretty low. Minigame's neat, but not enough. This heart piece, I know it so well, it is. You go back through the little tutorial, little graveyard area that's kind of mimicking Castle Escape from the first Zelda game, or the first Zelda game, from the original Link to the Past, and you just have to go back there once you've learned to merge. It's kind of like hey, think about how much of the world you can see now that you can merge. This one, pretty decent. Just a nice little merge reward. Honestly, C, not as good as going down the well. This one, simply go behind the blacksmith's house. Really easy. You can see it from the screen. It's really nice, clear, communicative. It communicates it well. So this one's honestly another C tier. Not that amazing. This one is The Crack in the Woods. It's just another one of, hey, you can merge. There's a lot of these early Link Between Worlds ones that is, hey, you can merge. And honestly, this one I kind of like. Basically, same as the Blacksmith's one, except it's more of, I don't remember if you can actually see it. I think you can see it from other places, but it's just a, hey, why is this part of the woods just thin? Merge, walk through, get your heart piece. Early, another C tier. C tier is probably going to be filled with a lot. This one, hey, you see this at the very beginning of the game, basically, if you go right instead of left when going towards the castle to deliver stuff, I think. Yeah, if you go right to try to get to the chapel. It's just, hey, can you pick up a rock? No? Eh. But you see it early, just remember it to get it. Another very straightforward C tier. This one is... give me a second. I have a guide for every single one pulled up because memorizing all of them sucks. Oh yes, this one is actually one I like a lot. This is the waterfall cave north of the witch's hut, or where the witch's hut is in Link to the Past. You simply just fall down on a ledge, you can see in the water, and then merge over. I actually kind of like this one. I think it's makes more of the remember how water depth works. You just see this random cave, and you're like, I want to go in there. I actually put this one as a B tier. I like it. This minigame. I enjoy this minigame much more than the chickens. I think this minigame is very fun. This minigame is, you have to get so much money, and then you need to talk to the person when you think, I want to say this one is 40 seconds or it's a minute, I can't remember which, when it's gotten to right about that mark, just before it, and then you get a multiplier if you end up within, so close to the actual time. I really like this one. I think this one is a really good minigame, really neat. It's really good for making money, and just, you get, 150 rupees from this, I believe? No, this one's 100 rupees. I think there's a later one that's 150. And then you get it. Very simple, straightforward. If you're really bad at time, you might need a clock, or you might need a stopwatch or something to help. I mean, most people have a smartphone, so you you have a stopwatch with you at all times. Simple minigame. I like it. B tier. This one is Spec Rock. Well, the new Spec Rock. I honestly kind of like this one too. You know what? No, no, no. I'm gonna shift some things on this tier list first. This is an A tier because I'm realizing I'm putting things too low for the most part. I think that's an A tier. This one is another A tier. I think it's, hey, check out Spec Rock. It's a challenge of like, oh, what? How do I get to this cave that I keep seeing? Do I have to find some way out of it? No, it's you have to learn that sometimes you need to merge at elevations that don't match where you are, but are instead lower. And I think it's a great reward for letting you learn that when you're on Death Mountain. Really simple, really straightforward. I honestly really like it. This next one is one you can see pretty early on, and you can't get it until you have access to bombs, which, I mean, that's with how Link Between Worlds works. You actually have access to bombs pretty early. So it's just bomb this place that you can see, where it's a very, very, very suspicious wall. That's like southeast where this image is. Walk through a cave, get your heart piece. Straightforward. Honestly, I like it a lot. This is a B tier one. It actually requires some creative thinking and noticing that a wall is very suspicious. This one, however, is not that. This one is very obvious cracked wall, and then just merge in this dark room. This one's not that great. It's pretty straightforward, but it's alright. Let's see. This one is a reference to Link to the Past again, which I'll admit I'm gonna rank higher because I like the cute little references to Link to the Past. This one is where the Dark World portal south of Eastern is. Yeah, it's Eastern Palace in both games. You just, hey, if you played into the past, you know where the stone is that you use to the Dark World? Here, just have a hammer, hammer the pigs, pick it up. Great, I love it. B tier, not the best. Next up is one I find kind of fun. I really like the mechanic that they made in Link Between Worlds where you play with elevation by getting launched by the things you hit down with pegs. And this one is a timing version of that in a mountain cave. And so because you're in a cave, they don't care that much about elevation for the world. So they send you sky high constantly. It's basically doing the Tower of Hera gimmick in that game, but just on moving platforms. I think it's a very fun challenge. I think it can be a little frustrating, but I just really enjoy this one. Next up is another minigame. It's a race. You have to use the Pegasus boots if you want to do it right. Basically, just run from east of Lake Hylia to where the rock guys, the place that lets you pick up rocks. I can't remember what his name is. It's, a fun one to do, fun to learn. I think it can be a little frustrating, like most of them. But honestly, I enjoy it a lot too. I think it's a fun minigame. I want to say you can cheat it later if you start the race, go into the low rule, call Maple there. Is she named Maple? Oh, I can't remember if the witch is named Maple in that game or not. Fly to the other end, go through a portal, pop out there because they don't see you flying. I want to say you could do that, which I think it raises this one even more, that you could just, I don't want to learn the route. Go to another world, don't get seen caught flying in the air, land, go back. I think that's really cute. So this one's an A tier. Next one, this is an S tier. Because it's such a simple, when you're in CAC for the first time, if you're checking all the doors, there's a door that's not open. Okay, that's weird. But if you remember that, when you first get low roll access, you can just walk through the crack and you end up right, in this room. And this woman's like, how'd you get here? Whatever. And then the heart piece comes from her love for you, which I think is the funniest thing. They do it in several things. I know they do it in a heart container that's also in Twilight Princess, where it's the result of the love between the two Yetis. But this one I just find funnier because you go through this crack this whole time being like, what's in this house? What's in this house? It's a woman who's just really funny. So this is an S tier. I really like that one. This next one is a very simple, just kind of be observant one. You have to notice, you know, uh, how the world is set up when you first go to the actual character to get to where Skull Woods is, and once you do that, it's pretty like just walk around. Very simple, very straightforward. This is another C tier one. This fucking heart piece. Oh boy, this fucking heart piece. When I first played this game, this was the last one I got. All because I could not figure it out for the life of me. So what you're supposed to do to get this heart piece is you grab a cuckoo, or the evil version of cuckoos. You walk down a screen, go up on a ledge on the right, and you fly over to it. It's also how you're supposed to get to this, to the crack that you can see slightly to the right of where the image is. I could not figure this out for the life of me because I did not think you'd be able to carry the cuckoos between screens, and also, I just kind of forgot how cuckoos worked by this point in the game. I think Skullwoods is one of the later dungeons I did. It just, it was not good. This is another T tier. It's not the worst in the game, but it's frustrating. Next up is the gambling minigame. It's very straightforward. You just simply pay some money, pick two chests, hope you get it. I don't like it because it's 200 rupees every play. I think, what, I want to say Link to the Past equivalent had 80 rupees per play, which was much more reasonable costed. This one does give you three chests instead of two. I, I don't like this one. I think these mini games are really bad where it's just spend money until you get it. So you either, one, need to remember to save before you do it, and then keep reloading if you run out of money, or it's just grind money. No. Next up is redoing the cash minigame, which, I mean, it's a great way to get money for when you have to do the chest minigame over and over if you're trying to get every heart piece. But this one is you have to get 150 rupees, then finish within 3 seconds. You get like 300 rupees at least, I believe, is the condition to get it. You get a lot of money out of this one, but I don't like it as much because I think it's just rehashing in the same game, it's redoing the minigame twice. This is just a more profitable version. So I think I rank this one. It's still the same tier, but it is still worse. It would be like if I went more in depth with this tier list, this would be like a B minus. Anyway, speaking of minigames, this fucking one. This minigame is infuriating. If you do not know how Octo Derby works, you will suffer. So the gimmick to this one is you need to get 100 points in Octo Ball Derby. It is 20 rupees per play, so it's very cheap. But it is frustrating if you do not understand how it works. So the way Octo Derby works to actually get money is you have to you use up and down to control, which lane you're aiming towards, and the timing on your hit is how like far the earlier it is, the further right, the later it is, the further left, I want to say. If you hit the Octo, he shoots faster, which means you will almost always miss those. The way to actually get the money out of it, once you're good at it, is you have to hit, I want to say 3 pots in succession. So like you can't miss in between. And then a bird will show up, you have to hit the bird. That would give you 20 rupees, and you've also gained, I think you had to hit 3 pots. It might be 5, I can't remember the right number. And then you have to hit the crabs to reset the pots. That's the whole thing. This minigame is ass. There is no getting around it. I think it is the worst heart piece in Link Between Worlds. It is so bad. Anyway, on a much better note, here is a pretty good heart piece. This one is another reference to Link to the Past. It's hey, Graveyard Ledge in Link to the Past is one where you have to go between worlds. Go up the Dark World ladder, mirror to the Light World. In this one, it's the exact same thing. Like, it is straight up, go to the graveyard, go up the ladder, go through the crack instead of mirroring, walk in, get your heart piece. Very simple. I I think I don't think it's the cutest of the references to Link to the Past ones they have. I think like the chicken coop one is better. I think or chicken coop the well one. That's what I mean. And the spec rock is better. I think this one is just a little worse. So I'm gonna put it. It would be top of B tier. I think it is a cute one, like a cute little reference one, but it's just not as good as the other reference ones, which I really like. This one is when you're sneaking your way into Pod. So on your way to Palace of Darkness, there's this heart piece just sitting out on the ledge. I think it's an actually pretty good one because you can either get it in the moment and you might get caught if you're not careful because you have to, walk carefully. If you're ever emulating this game on Citra, don't try to get this during that time because Citra doesn't let you walk in a straight line. But I think this one's pretty nice. Or if you decide to come after you beat the dungeon, all the guards are gone, so you can just get it real quick. Very simple, very clean. Kind of like that one. This one would be another solid B tier. Actually, no, this is an A tier, not S. This is not an S tier. I think it's nice that you just see it on the way, and there's an easier way to do it if you come back later. But if you want to get it at the moment, you might get caught. Next up, I don't know what it is about the southern part of Lorule that just has such terrible heart pieces, but it keeps it up here. So the treasure chest minigame has been in the southwest part, but not the desert area. That's separate. But southern part is the best way to describe it. It's Thieves Town and Swamp Palace area. It has Octo Derby on the transition between them, the two, like the western section and the southern section. And if you're also going from the western section to the southern section, you have this heart piece. So this heart piece it's very straightforward. Once you've paid the guy for 100 or paid the guy 200 rupees for big bomb access, you have to big bomb. You have to carry a big bomb all the way down here. Now, you already have to do this partially to get into the Swamp Palace. You have to get it to the same screen, but you have to get it basically to the middle, so it can drain the water, I want to say. Yeah, it drains the water, you hook shot across. So, this is not a new thing. Like, they already make you do most of the walk, but it's the enemies just outside this cave that makes this infuriating. It is frustrating to have to do this trek a second time, and you can't run with the bomb, from what I recall. Bomb gets touched, it starts going off, you can't save it. It is so much harder to work with than the actual big bomb from Link to the Past. I despise this one. It's not as bad as Octo Derby, but it's close. Anyway, onto much better heart pieces. There was that heart piece from earlier that was, using, where is it? This one that I find really fun. That's using the hammer to keep launching yourself up. And this one is very similar. They decided that when you're climbing Frozen Death Mountain or whatever, that you should use this to basically launch yourself up as well. So you use this, it's the wind rod, which you use to just increase elevation. All of its puzzles involve moving platforms, and in this case, you use it to climb these moving platforms. It's very similar to the launching one. I don't think it's as fun, but I think it's another really well-designed one that's one of the more complex side. You just learned the timing. It can get really interesting. It sucks if you fall, because I don't think there's as many stable platforms as the launching yourself up one, so you lose more progress every time you fail. But at the same time, I think the timing is easier. So I think this is another A tier one. I think it's really good. Speaking of A tiers, and what I've been ranking as references to, uh, you know, Link to the Past, this is straight up a reference to Link to the Past. If there's a heart piece in Link to the Past that is towards the, upper Death Mountain, where it's the little island by itself, you go through a cave to get to it, mirror, get your heart piece. This is the exact same thing. I want to say the cave you go through is even the one that the last heart piece was in, but you go through it, walk through a crack instead of mirroring, there's your heart piece. The only difference is you can't hop off this mountain, which I think is a much, 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 much better thing in Link to the Past than this one, because you can't hop off here because of the way the mountain's designed in Link Between Worlds, where you basically have to climb up uh, the cold eastern side of Death Mountain. So I think this one is. I think that one aspect actually moves this one down. I think. I think this it is worse than the Graveyard Ledge one, but this one just the fact that you have to go back into the cave, go back through another path to get out. Anyway, speaking of Death Mountain, on the west side of Death Mountain, there is no dungeon, which is or west side of Dark Death Mountain, there is no dungeon, which Link to the Past, that is where, you know, that's where Ganon's castle is. Like, the last dungeon. In this case, in Between Worlds, it's instead Lowell Castle. So what they did instead of having a dungeon is they put the arena. And I think the arena is actually pretty fun to do. At least the first one. I think later arena fights get too tedious. You have to do them to get the like ultra lamp and ultra bug net, which are very, very niche anyway. So this one's just kind of it's just kind of an alright heart piece. The heart piece itself is just a 10-round fight, with the 10th round being, I want to say, Moldorm. So I think it's a nice little fun thing to do. Definitely better on the minigame side. So, honestly, probably upper B tier. It's better than the Rupee Mania. Anyway, next up is a technically, I guess, a reference to Link to the Past as well. In original Link to the Past, you have the Turtle Rock heart piece, where you in the middle of Turtle Rock, if you're going to when you go to the big chest, you walk outside, and if you mirror, you can get a heart piece there. This one is not as similar as the other reference heart pieces, but this one is hey, you see this heart piece on the outside, there's an exit in the dungeon. And I really like dungeon heart pieces, because I think it's a good reward for fully exploring the dungeon. I like it. When we get to Twilight Princess later, I get to talk about my feelings on those dungeon heart pieces, but when they're random, I honestly really like them. So this one is actually an S tier to me. You have to play around with the warping to get figured out, but I really like it. This one is a very simple heart piece. In the northeast of the desert swamp area, or mire, whatever area, there's simply, when you go there, you have to, use the sand, because you're mostly playing around the light world, or in Hyrule in that one, using sand. This one is just go to the northeast, you'll see a very suspicious wall that you need to bomb, and you need to actually play around with either throwing a bomb well or using bomb and sand rod, which I think is a fun little combination. And then open a crack, go through it, here's your heart piece. And then you have to hop back out. Like, you can't go back in the crack because it's actually elevated. It's not that clear from this image. But honestly, it doesn't really matter because you only go up there for this heart piece. You play around more in the southern section to actually get to the dungeon of the area. So it's not like you have to do backtracking after getting it. So honestly, I think this is a really nice one. This is honestly another A tier. I think it's just a really nice little thing. Anyway, speaking of, which heart piece is this again? This is very unmemorable. Oh, yeah, this is, the last heart piece from Link Between Worlds. I guess it's weird to try to rank these. This is another one. So the last one, because it requires a sand rod, you have to have beaten one of the low roll dungeons. Technically, all the prior ones don't require you to beat a low roll dungeon. When you get the mitts from, I want to say you get the mitts in the Thieves Town dungeon, or whatever it's called, Thieves Hideout. I don't remember what it's called. Uh, there's not really many big rocks in the world because of how open the game is. This is basically the only big rock that actually locks a heart piece, and when you pick it up, it's just straight up in a cave. It's this big rock you see at the very beginning of the game, because you go to the blacksmith's house at the very beginning of the game, and so it's just, hey, here's the suspiciously big rock, and if you remember you can pick up rocks later, pick it up, have your heart piece. Congrats, you have a good memory. Honestly, just a C tier. It's not that great. Next up, we've got a weird mix because of how I labeled the files. So next up is a brief stop into Oracle of Seasons. This heart piece is one that is frustrating to get, but it's honestly not that bad once you know. Basically, throughout the game, every time you kill 30 enemies, there's certain screens that if you walk onto them, Maple the Witch will appear. And if you bump into her, she'll drop things. Now, if you're doing the trading quests for those games, she matters. Bumping into her is also any good anyway, because she'll drop, while you drop a few things, she also drops things, and she can even drop the potion that revives you when you die, which is very nice. And if you're playing, we'll get to the Oracle version of this one, which I think is, or Oracle, the Ages version of this one, which I technically think is better. But this one, it's very simple. She'll drop a heart piece, and if you have Pegasus seeds, then it's much easier to beat her to it. The heart piece, I believe, is always the thing she goes towards first, so you have to respond quick, and you kind of need to be lucky with where it lands. But I think this one's not that bad, because by the time she can have it, you will see her multiple times. Because it's basically every time you walk out of a dungeon, you will have killed enough enemies that you'll run into her. So I think it's honestly not that bad. This is, I'm going to say, just another C tier. Yeah, it's just a C tier. Next up is a weird thing that has to do with how the 3DS version. Okay, so I need to scroll down a bit. So with how the 3DS version of Majora's Mask is, there is a single heart piece changed. And this is because they wanted to make a bottle earlier to make the Zora thing better. So, in original Majora's Mask, you have this heart piece that you get from doing the target shooting after you've fixed the woods and saved... I don't remember which sister's which. But one of the sisters that formed Twinrova. After you've saved her, and you've saved the swamp, you play a little mini game where you just shoot, the target she has. Don't shoot her. That kind of makes it bad. But it's very simple, straightforward, shoot the arrows. I think it's a little out of the way because you have to remember to talk to her after saving the swamp. But only in original Ocarina of Time, in original Majora's Mask does this give you a heart piece. It does not in the 3DS version, in that it gives you a bottle. I think this is honestly an alright heart piece. Not too good. I think the minigame's a little dull. It's not that hard, honestly, just don't shoot her. This is just a C tier. Okay. Next we've got some specifically from the remake of Link's Awakening. The images I've included here have, if they're from the original, then it has the old image for it. That way I know. This one is the first Crane game heart piece. I really like this one because the Crane game sucks in original Link's Awakening. It is, you basically go there once and you grab a Yoshi and you have no reason to return. This one, they completely revamped it. You just have several things you want to get for if you're trying to fully decorate the town. So just this heart piece is kind of on the way if you're working on that, and if you're getting the trade quest done, which I mean you should, you'll just happen to get this heart piece because it's just sitting there. It's very free. The crane game I find fun, as simple as it is. So this is going to be a honestly this is an A tier. Next up we've got okay. So a lot of these heart pieces that are Link Awakening remake, I don't care for too much. Actually, I'm gonna check something real quick because one of these I just now noticed might be a repeat that I have included. Uh, I am shocked. Okay, I thought one was in the original one. It's not. Whatever. Okay, so this one is a okay crap. We need to find places to put heart pieces. That's what a lot of these are going to be, where they replaced rewards with heart pieces, or they need to find a place to include them. So this one, it's all right. It's just a simple jump over a gap. It's just a C tier heart piece. Next up is the first, and I'm honestly surprised this is the first time we ran into one of these shop heart pieces. I don't like shop heart pieces. I think they're very boring to get. They're just have a bunch of money. This is the exception. If you don't know, in Link's Awakening, you can commit theft. It does a few things. One, you become called Thief. Two, you can never walk into the shop again, or else you will die. In fact, you will get Palpatined. It's really funny. It can be frustrating to first learn how to steal, but once you can, it's pretty easy. And this one, I think, ranks higher because this man deserves to be robbed. His prices are so expensive. It is frustrating. So this is an S tier heart piece. I think robbing the guy is very entertaining. I'm glad they included it. Next up is this one's just in a cave. Like, yeah, it's just one of the cave rewards. Uh, I want to say this exact cave exists in the original Link's Awakening. There's just no heart piece. It's just this chest you could see. The heart piece, it's not very clear, but it's actually in this bottom right corner of the room. Um, yeah, it's just kind of it's like I said, a lot of these are pretty low ranked. I think this is a D tier because it's just a crap. We need a heart piece somewhere. This one is show rewards, which I think they vastly improved upon. So in original Link's Awakening, you get shells, turn them in, get rewards. Very simple. The rewards you get were based on, how many you turned in. This one, I cannot remember how many shells this is. I want to say this is like five. Let me check for a second. Yeah, this is five seashells. So very early on, you're basically like you can so easily find these seashells, except for the tree ones, but those are I don't like the tree ones. That you'll honestly get this heart piece by the time you can reach the seashell mansion. So I actually like this one. I think it's simple. It's a nice way for them to include it in the remake. This is just a this is a B tier. Actually, no, this is an A tier one because you just get it. It's like, hey, here's why you should collect seashells. It's a very early reward that incentivizes you to do the other item collection of the game. This one, I thought this one was in the original, but apparently it's not. So the grass maze, which is this kind of annoying area in in Link. I can't think for a second. In Link's Awakening, in the remake, they decided to put a item in the top right of the maze, which I mean, this item, of course, being a heart piece that's on this list. It's a very simple. Hey, we have a two-tile gap. You need to get over it. Uh, the way you get it is you have to. The intended way is very clearly to Pegasus jump over it, which you don't have the Pegasus boots until after you do this section, so you'd have to return to it. But honestly, because of how the hole falling works, you can just jump in the middle between holes and you won't immediately fall, and you can make the gap. So it's honestly, you can get it when you first see it. It's not, and if it wasn't for that, I would put this pretty low. But because it's one that, like, it's included in an area that's already not that interesting, so it improves the area that it's in, combined with the fact that you can actually get it when it's first there, just not the intended way. This is a C tier, honestly. And actually, no, this is a B tier. It's nice that you can get it when you see it, but it makes the area that's frustrating to really deal with actually better. Next up is, which cave is this? This is in Tall Tall Mountain. I think this is another one that we're like, crap, we need a heart piece and just put it in the corner. I don't even remember this one. D tier. Okay, this next one I like. So, uh, I want to say, yeah, this one is the Animal Village heart piece. Uh, Before, I want to say you could already get kind of behind Animal Village, but not really. In the remake, you could fully get outside of it, and I think it's interesting that they're like, hey, you could see this heart piece when you first go into Animal Village, and you have to figure out how to get around it. And I want to say this one is you have to actually go where the walrus is, which is like very outside Animal Village, and you walk all the way around the edge. I don't think you can get to that section in the original. So I think this one's really neat. And this is kind of like a, oh hey, it's a, how do I put this best? It is an area that opened up because it switches from being a 2D sprite game to a 3D model game, where the region that you're walking through is where the house sprites were covering in the original. I think that makes this one kind of more clever. So this is actually like a really good way. This is another A tier. A lot of Link's Awakening remake ones are very decisive for me. Speaking of decisive, Dompe dungeon building would be good if it was any better. So, for those who don't know, the dungeon building in Link's Awakening remake was something that was added where basically you get tiles, you build these dungeons, you do them. It's very Mario Maker esque, except you have so little creative control that you're basically running through the same rooms over and over again as you do it. This one is the early one, which is, gosh, I don't remember what the early one is. Uh, but it's just, I think you have to make a heart shape and fill it up. It's not, they're not good. The dungeon building really, really wants to be good, but it's just too shallow in like development that these are bad. There's another one coming up later that's even worse. These are there. Those are, God, don't pay. Dungeon building is awful. Anyway, next up is more crane game stuff, and this time they make you learn how to use moving platforms. This one's it's just a harder version of that one from earlier, but this is another A tier. I just think the crane game is neat. Uh, Next up we have the one where they make you. Okay, so this one is the first of an improvement from from Link's Awakening to Link's Awakening remake. So this one is under the water. In the under the water heart pieces in Link's Awakening, which I should have ranked these ones separately, but I didn't. They're invisible. You just got to dive at the right spot, which is frustrating if there's nothing really marking it. Because in this one, the water is more clear and see-through. You actually see the heart pieces in the bottom of the water. So I think including these is a better version of the crap. We need a place to put these. That I think this one just works. So this one is a solid. Is it A or B? Honestly, I'm thinking between the two. I think this is just a B. This next one is, gosh, This one is just a cave that's like basically south of where the last heart piece is. You cut some grass, then do a little Pegasus boot jump, and dive in the water to grab it. A lot of these next ones, I believe, are dive in the water to grab just because it's after acquiring flippers. So this one's all right. I think it's an all right cave. I don't remember if this cave even existed in the original. I don't have the perfect memory, but it's all right. Probably another B tier. Actually, you know what? I'm moving this one up to A. I think this one's neat. This next one is... Ooh, which one is this? Ooh. Oh yeah, this is another Flipper's Cave one. This is like just outside of the Seashell Mansion. This is a cave I wanted... Oh, this is the cave you used to cross the river. That's what it is. So, the river... You have a cave that you have to, like, basically you go under the river. This one, they added the heart piece in the water that you can already, like... That was already naturally in the cave. This is another A one. I like that you can see it early, and you just gotta remember to return. But it's using the fact of you can see in the water, which I'll admit I really like. Next up is... Oh yes, the hookshot one. So this one is a heart piece that you have to very simply use your hookshot to navigate this cave. This image isn't a great one for it, where you go into the... I want to say this is another one that's kind of crap. We need to put the heart piece somewhere, because it's just... it goes here. This cave, I want to say you already went in there to get a purple rupee with the hookshot. It's not that... Like, it's not that great. I like that they make these random chests with money better, but honestly, these random chests with money are already kind of good because of the shop being so overpriced. Anyway, next up is... what is this one again? I know it's right outside the I would say graveyard, but it's really just a grave. I barely remember this one. Like, it's another forgettable one for me. A lot of these remake ones honestly are. It's probably just like a C tier then. I can't really remember it. Next up we have the cave. Is this in the rapids or is it outside of it? I think this is on the way to River Rapids. That you see this little cave that you do some hookshot stuff in. It's alright. Another C. This one, I like. I like how they changed River Rapids. I don't think River Rapids was good in the original. And so you have to basically navigate the rapids well to get to this heart piece. I think that's kind of neat. So I'm going to put this at and you know what? I think this one, along with the next one, are actually S tiers. So the next one that I just ranked, that is... Gosh, how do I explain? This one is the River Rapids reward one. Basically, you have to beat the River Rapids in under 40 seconds. And while the minigame itself, like, the improved version of it can be frustrating, I think it's a very fun way to, like, learn how to use your hookshot to navigate you quickly. Because most hookshot stuff is never you have to be fast, it's more of you have to be precise. This one actually is like, okay, you have a hookshot, learn to use it quickly. And so you have to navigate the water, you have to figure out what the fastest path is. I like little speedrunning stuff, so of course I'm going to naturally like this one. And it's... Okay, next up we have... which one is this? This is... I think this is another of crap we needed a place to put a heart piece, honestly. It's just kind of on the mountain. This one I don't really care about. So this is going to be... It goes with the other crap we needed a place. It's in D. We have some random Ocarina of Time ones, and I don't know why. So, next up, like I said, Ocarina of Time. I want to say these are... I don't know why these random ones showed up here. I thought they'd be later. So this one is, I think this one is a little kind of iconic of the OOT heart pieces. This image is just pointing out where it is. It is the grave heart piece, where you quite literally do some grave robbing. And as we've established before, theft is fun, and stealing from the dead is fun. So this one is, you have to open the grave, you'll see a re-dead, and you have to play the Sun Song. I want to say that Navi hints you to play the Sun Song in this one. And honestly, I think, you steal from the dead, kind of funny. Uh, it's not the only reward from stealing from the dead, and the room is very suspicious. And also, it is a reward for, hey, you got the Sun Song, which, is extremely useful for Skulltula hunting. So honestly, this one is, it's just a little, like, memorable and iconic. It's going in, I think there's another 8 here. Okay, next up is the Death Mountain Wall. Okay, or not Death Mountain Wall. Wait, is this? Where is this one? Why is this one so early in Ocarina of Time ones? That's weird. Oh, I see it's happening. Okay. So this one is, when you go to Death Mountain Crater, there is a wall that just has a hole in it. I think when you can first get this versus when you can first reasonably know about this when you're first playing the game there's a very big difference. So if you want to see it, you actually need to be outside the Fire Temple, which is much later than when you can first get it, which is when you first climb Death Mountain. So when you first climb Death Mountain, after getting the bombs from Goron's, or getting the bombs from Dodongo's Cavern, you go all the way up and you can get the fairy, which I don't remember what that great fairy does. Enhanced spin attack, maybe? I don't remember. You get a great fairy. Actually, no, that's where you get Din's Fire, so you have to climb the mountain anyway. Wait, no. Din's Fire is outside Hyrule Castle. This might be enhanced spin attack. Like I said, the fairies get very mixed up in my head. I've done so much OOT rando that I struggle with some vanilla things. Anyway, you climb the mountain, you get it there, and then the owl is right there, and he will take you back to Cac. But if you go inside the mountain and get set on fire, there's the wall that you can get onto and get the heart piece. But if you don't know about it, it looks like it's just a ledge that leads to lava. So you don't really have reason to check it out. So you instead see it much later, and you're like, oh, hey, I remember that gap. I'll climb the mountain now as an adult and get it. Or more accurately, you probably just hookshot or use the hammer or whatever to get around from the lower side of Death Mountain crater to the upper heart. So I think it's early on, it's like, once you've played the game, the first time and know about it, it's a really, like, easy heart piece to get. But before that, it's kind of annoying that you see it much later than when it was actually first available. And it's not, I don't think you would naturally explore to get this one. So honestly, I rank this a D tier. I don't think it's good. However, on the good side of heart pieces is the Gerudo Valley heart piece. So if you are exploring the world as a child and you go to Gerudo Valley, you basically can't do anything. The way this heart piece works is it's in the waterfall. You just really have to get on the same level as the waterfall, or the bottom of the waterfall, climb up the ladder, you get to it. I like this one because I think it's very simple to get, but it does require you to explore, and it's a way you would want to explore, because I think video games have taught a lot of people at this point, if there's a waterfall, check behind it. And so this one, it's, okay, so you get to Gerudo Valley, you go up this little area and you're on a bridge, you're not allowed to cross it. You look to your left, look to your right, and you see a giant waterfall. Of course you're going to go look behind it. So I think this one is very simple. It's aged amazingly. This is an S tier heart piece. And not on the S tier is this next one. Same exact area in Gerudo Valley. technically, you could get this one and the one I just went over, like, right after each other, if you get a chicken to behave. This one, so if you looked right when you went to the bridge, you see the waterfall, which is very, like, a thing you want to explore. If you look to the left, you see a crate on a random ledge. You have to know about flying with cuckoos to get this one, and it is frustrating to try to get this one and the waterfall one in the same trip. Because you have to get the cuckoo to not fall to its death, and also, mostly just not fall to its death. So this one is, I think the intended way is actually, once you get the long shot from the water temple, to use a little cliff ledge on the other side of the valley, and then hook shot across. I think that is the intended way. I don't think cuckoo flying was the intended way, but I mean the cuckoo's there, so it, I don't know. I'd have, like, I don't know what the devs were exactly thinking. This one's alright. I think it's more frustrating to, like, it's another one that sucks on the first playthrough, but afterwards it's not that bad. Anyway, next up, we've got some from Skyward Sword. Why we don't have the rest from OT, I have no idea. Anyway, Skyward Sword has some very, honestly, I really like the heart pieces in Skyward Sword. For the most part, I think a lot of them are good. This one is on the lower end. It's the first heart piece. It's not that amazing. Basically, when you're in Faron Woods, you see this heart piece on a ledge, and you see a rope. And it's very straightforward. Go on the rope, get to the heart piece. I think it might be the first rope you deal with, so it might be a little less on how ropes work, because, I mean, they're weird to control. But honestly, it's an alright heart piece. Like C tier. This might be my favorite heart piece. Yeah, I think this is my favorite heart piece. This one is, it's a little dumb to first figure out, but once you do, it's so good. So the way this heart piece works is vandalism. When you first go into the Lumpy Pumpkin, if you're exploring the sky, and I mean, I don't think it's marked on the sky, but I'm pretty sure a Goddess Cube chest is like the first or second one is there, so it wants you to go there. And when you walk in, it shows this beautiful chandelier, and it shows you a heart piece on it. And all you have to do is get it to fall off. And so, you know, once you messed around a little bit, I think it sucks that, because if you come up here with the beetle and you're like, why can't I get up with the beetle? It gets a little frustrating. But if you come up here, you know, trying to get the Goddess Cubes before, you know, doing the first dungeon, this is much more convenient. You'll just run into you'll eventually figure out that, hey, if I bump into the wall, you know, bump into the sledge on the up part, I make it shake. So let's shake it off. And then you break the chandelier, and I find it so funny. I'm saying chandelier. Chandelier. Fucking Pokemon. I think it's so funny that you just ruin this man's chandelier. It is, honestly, I think this is an S tier heart piece, because it's just so funny seeing the distraught that you cause off of your own greed for life. Next up is, I'm going to be ranking all the Goddess Cube heart pieces a D tier. I don't like Goddess Cubes. So basically the way the Goddess Cubes work is, you are on the surface, you light up your sword, strike it with the Skyward Strike, and then a chest in the sky will become available to open. The way they work in the game is not every cube is tied to a chest. Instead, the number of cubes is tied to the chest. So the first cube will always be the first chest. The second cube will always be this chest. And I don't know. I don't like the Goddess Cubes because it's just it's just a long fetch quest. I wish there were less of them, and that the cubes that are more hidden were instead chests that just gave you a cube reward. Like there's a cube that I remember is in, gosh, it's after you get the double claw shot. Or no, yeah, you have to go back to where the previous dungeon before getting that claw shot was, and you have to hook up onto a random vine that is just in the sky. Or not in the sky, but like really high up on a ledge to get a goddess cube. And it's, while you can find it with the eventual goddess cube sensor, if you've talked to the Goron that gives you that, it's just kind of fresh. It's just, I don't think it's well designed. Speaking of well designed, though, next up is the heart piece in the Skyview Temple. Now, I said earlier, I like heart pieces in dungeons. This one I actually really like because it is in a room that rewards you for learning how to use the beetle. So when you first go to this room, you'll see a switch, hit it with a slingshot, go into the little mini room, fight the mini boss, get the beetle, learn that you can use the beetle to navigate rooms and like look about them. As you continue to explore this room with the beetle, you'll see, very simply, a heart piece behind a grate. And so you start looking for, how do I open this grate? Can't get the beetle through it. What do I do? This one is teaching you can explore vertically as well. Because the switch is actually, where this image is pointing, is at the very top of the central part. In fact, the room that you got the beetle in. And you have to fly it all the way up there. And it shows you both the limits of how far the beetle is allowed to go, as well as that you need to learn you can explore in 3 dimensions with this item. So I really like this one. I think this is a very well designed heart piece. This is another S tier. This is, like I said, there's some Skyward Sword heart pieces I really like. Speaking of people I like, Betrow is a very fun character. The gimmick to him is that you're collecting gratitude crystals, and as you turn them in, you get your rewards. A lot of the rewards I want are wallet upgrades, which are very nice. This one is 10 gratitude crystals, which I think is very easy to get. In fact, I want to say that this one naturally works because you will get 10 on the same trip that you meet him. Now, it's a little tedious because what you have to do exactly, but so what is it? So you do after you've placed in the Elden tablet, you'll get stopped or say, hey, my daughter is missing, can you look for her? And if you take the time to find her, you'll meet Betrow. And then if you go back to the day and talk to the mother and say, hey, I found your daughter, you get 5 gratitude crystals. And then Betrow's already told you about how they are, and even on the way back to morning or back to the daytime, you might see a gratitude crystal, on the way up. Or yeah, I guess up, whatever. And so you might look around at night and find some, and you will get 10 very easily in that way. And then you can go see, okay, so what are these rewards that, I get? Do I want to invest in getting these crystals? And you will go talk to him, and you will get a heart piece. You're like, okay, yeah, I want to get these. So it's a good motivator for wanting to do this little side quest. So this one is a solid A tier. I think it's designed well. I just don't like the second trip part because you have to go back to night and go down and talk to him and Okay, next up is the first heart piece in the Elden Volcano. So this one is, it kind of flows naturally into getting you this one. So you will, when you're exploring Elden Volcano, you'll get to the part where you say, hey, I need to bomb this thing to lower some lava. And you'll see this heart piece on a ledge. And so all it simply is when you go over to bomb this one, drain the lava, you'll see another way up on this cliff. And it's a very cleanly designed heart piece because as you go around, you will naturally get to how do I put this? You'll end up doing a circle that puts you where you need to progress once you get the heart piece. So it's a very if you go out of your way to explore, you get a reward, and you also don't have a bunch of backtracking to do. You just are where you need to progress. I think it's a really cleanly designed loop. This is another solid A tier. Okay, this one is the first of the return trip like heart pieces, really. How it simply works is you need to. It's just basically getting it takes 5 seconds. You go to the woods, hop down. Hey, there was this cave that had rocks. I have bombs now. Let's check inside. Really simple and straightforward to get. I mean, it's a solid B tier. It's not that, like, there's not much to talk about. It's just hop down, spend 5 seconds dropping a bomb, open a chest. Next up is the Lanayru Desert Heart Piece. Okay. This one I like because it continues to make sure you have learned the lesson of exploring Lanayru Desert. So by the time you get to... So you go to where the not Temple of Time, the time section, I can't remember what it's called, where the portal is going to be. You see it's blocked off, or the time portal that gets blown up is. You see it's blocked off, there's rubble, so you end up going back to the main section of Lanayru Desert. And when you're there, you see, you learn about, hey, I have the old map, I can see where stuff is sunken in the sand, I can walk on it. And this one is quite simply, there is a crack on the wall that is suspicious, and you need to learn, and they want to make sure you've learned that you can walk where the map says is safe. And it is quite literally a straight line to this crack. And once you do it, you go through and this little cave section with some electric shoes, and then at the end of it, you get a heart piece just in a chest. In addition, they show you more of these symbols for the double claw shot later, so it gives you a reason to want to come back later, which, gets you, I want to say, a goddess cube. So this one it's a very simple one. I think another solid B tier. This next one is another goddess cube. It's just a D. Next up is... Which one is this? Oh, this is... Okay. This one is one that I find frustrating because he can just... The condition... He behaves weirdly. So basically... how this works is after you've defeated the imprisoned... God, how many times? I don't remember if it's the first time or twice or whatever. Basically, this is your tutorial on... No, this isn't your tutorial on Goddess Walls, because your tutorial on Goddess Walls is in when you go back through Skyview Temple a second time, which is a thing. It's... Like, it's not that good or noteworthy. You basically just have to draw the thing he says is right. I'm honestly ranking it a D just because I think the Goddess Walls behave a little weirdly. Next up that we have is this heart piece. I hate this minigame. This is very quickly an F tier. So this minigame infuriates me. I do not understand it. It does not behave. How it works is, so after you've destroyed the chandelier, you have several little tasks you do, because you're basically making up for your debt of you destroyed a chandelier. Which, fair enough. You did kind of destroy a chandelier. What you do is you have to do several tasks. So first, you deliver some soup to the captain. I can't remember what he's called. So you take the soup to the captain. Next, you have to carry some pumpkins. And then you have this thing. Once you've gotten the goddess harp, you have to play it with her song, like, in time with the people's arms moving. And it doesn't matter how much I do this minigame, I suck at it. And it infuriates me. I've never learned how to do it. I know you're supposed to always be moving. You can't get too fast or too slow. I don't know. I find it too annoying to do. I hate it every time. The cost of getting to just do vandalism, I guess. Anyway, next up is a minigame I do enjoy because I love Is it Do? It's Dodo. Yeah, Dodo's Party Wheel. So when you're doing some gratitude crystal things, at some point you'll go visit the giant colorful island, which is very suspicious, and you'll see a very sad clown. Oh yes, I did that terribly. Basically, he's such a fun character, and you have to uh go into the desert. You find, his party wheel, bring it back up to the surface, and then his minigame is unlocked. And I actually enjoy his minigame. It's simple. It's they turn the diving section, which they don't really make you use much, into an actual little fun minigame. And then you once you've at first it can be annoying to learn the multiplier at the end, like where you need to land. But honestly, once you've done it like twice, which I think is only like 40 rupees, you'll quickly learn roughly what the timing is of like basically you go, if you don't dive at all, once you hit the last ring, you just go for wherever it is, I want to say 2/3 around the wheel from where your goal is, and you'll land on it pretty consistently. So I like it. I think it's a very fun thing. This minigame is a solid B. It's not the best minigame. Actually, no, it's a solid A. It's not the best minigame, but I find it as a really fun way to get money. And just once you've hit the big money, you get the heart piece. What's this one? This one is a goddess cube, but worse. I hate this goddess cube. Okay, so this one is, I want to talk about, actually no, this is a goddess cube, which I already don't like, but it's also a goddess cube that you open up earlier than you can actually open the chest. So it's annoying. However, on the annoying but actually fun side is another goddess cube, actually. It's a better goddess cube. You know what, this is the top of D. It's still a goddess cube, but it's a goddess cube that actually makes you have to think about how you dive. It can be frustrating, but alright. This, however, is another goddess cube. There's a lot of goddess cube heart pieces towards the middle. It's weird. Anyway, on the better side of heart pieces, it's more crimes. I don't know why all the best heart pieces are basically tied to doing crimes, but you do crimes to get heart pieces, I guess. So we've done vandalism. Let's also do breaking and entering. Once you get the double claw shots, at night, well, you could do it during the day, but at night you get a gratitude crystal with it, so you want to do it at night. You can sneak into the... what's it called? You can sneak into the academy using the chimney with the double claw shots. And it is very funny. One, you get to see, if it's night, you can see the headmaster taking a bath for some reason. But also, you sneak into Zelda's room, which has been locked the whole game because Zelda hasn't been there. And you get a heart piece. It's a real cute little room. So more crimes get rewards. I don't know why you get rewarded for crimes. Solid A. Next up is... which one's this? Double claw shots. Oh, no, I like this one. I really like this one. This is another dungeon heart piece. So, this dungeon heart piece is a pretty simple gimmick. When you're on the sand ship, you really don't explore the... I don't know terms for... you don't explore the back of the ship that much. You spend most of it on the front. The back mostly just has the captain's quarters section, where you get the boss key. But if you pay attention to the map, especially once you get the map so it shows you where chests are, you notice there is a heart piece, the very back, the very bottom floor. Well, once you have if you explore more, you see there's actually a double claw shot point on, I can't remember if it's the mast on the very back. I think it is. You'll see a double claw shot point, and if you go there, you actually have this whole section of the ship that just is a drop off. and at the very bottom is a heart piece, and then you get back out with the double claw shots. I think it's really another good reward for exploring. Not as good as the beetle one. I think the beetle one is the best dungeon one. But I think this is another solid A tier. Yeah. Anyway, continuing more minigames. How about, or continuing heart piece minigames, the minecart. The minecart is fun. So, Rickety Coaster is a game where you want to be fast, but also not fall to your death. And that's all it is. It's just riding a minecart really fast. You have to get used to the controls for it at first, but I mean, you've already had to when you first do it getting through the area. So I actually really like this one. It's just beat the sand ship, play minigame. I think this is another solid A. Well, actually, it's a top B. It's not an A tier, but it's still a fun minigame. However, not every minigame is fun. This one is not fun. This one is the Fledge pumpkin shooting. Basically, after you've done some things with Fledge where you give... First, you have to... You have to bring him multiple stamina potions between dungeons. I mean, technically, you can only do it at once, just sleeping nights and over again, but technically, you're allowed to do it between dungeons every time. He makes a minigame where he just wants to show off his strength and chuck pumpkins, and you have to shoot them in a pattern. The problem is, his throws are awful. They're not consistent, and honestly, I find them very annoying to predict along with the bow movement. I don't like the bow in Skyward Sword. I think it suffers a lot from motion controls that use it. Like, gosh, I even played the Switch version without motion controls at all, using the sticks, and I still sucked at this minigame. I think you can get good at it, but this is awful. This is... I hate this minigame. It's an F tier. Speaking of things I hate, it's a Goddess Cube chest. However, this one is... Oh, yeah, this one is funny. So this one is another dungeon heart piece, but I think it's the... honestly, this is an S tier, but not for the right reasons. So, this heart piece is very entertaining. As you go through the Fire Sanctuary, you're saving Magmas. And the first one you save, I want to say it gives you a key, or a map, or something like that. You have to do it anyway to progress. The second one gives you the Magma Mitts. The third one, who I don't even remember if you actually have to save, is just terrified of you, and you have to chase him down, but once you do, he gives you a heart piece. I don't even think you have to save him. Actually, no, wait. I think you might have to save him. I cannot remember. So it might be on the way, but I still think it's a very entertaining one just because his reaction's funny. Speaking of Magma Mitts, this one is pretty straightforward. Once you get out of the volcano dungeon, once you're out of Fire Sanctuary, you go into the Magma Mitt spot you end up seeing just before the Fire Sanctuary. It's very much a, hey, do you remember where you saw this thing? Go get it. So it's a C tier. It's not that great. Speaking of not that great, we have another shop heart piece. So, I said before, I liked the shop heart piece in Link's Awakening because theft. This one is robbery, but not getting you to commit crimes. Instead, you have to pay 1,600 rupees to Beetle for this one. And while you can get it for 800 if you've done Beetle's insect thing, I want to say that there's a more expensive item that you even want to use that on. It's just, I don't like shop heart pieces. I like heart pieces that interact in the world, or are minigames that are fun. Shops are going in F. I like them less than Goddess Cubes. However, I do like refighting bosses, which I think this is the only game, not counting the remakes like OT 3D, and maybe Majora's Mask 3D. I can't remember if you refight bosses in that game or not. Skyward Sword is the only one in the original that lets you refight bosses. And I think that's fun. and I really like the boss gauntlet. Uh, this one is just uh, you have to do 4 wins, and there's some easy bosses you can do. I'll admit it sucks that some of the refights are the imprisoned, 1, 2, and 3, but because you're only having to do 4, you don't have to do that. You can do some of the more fun ones, like the boss of what's the dungeon called? It's the first flame dungeon, or first dungeon you go to for one of the flames that you have to do the whole water dragon thing for. It's where you get the whip. I can't remember what the life of me is called, but that boss fight is so much fun. And getting to do that again, and then doing like fighting Girahim again, which is fun, and all this stuff, I think it just makes this heart piece very enjoyable to do. So I think this is a solid A tier heart piece. Next up we have a lot of I want to say, yeah, this is Twilight Princess heart pieces. I don't think this is all of them, but this is a lot of them. So Twilight Princess, every heart piece in this is immediately lower, because in every other game that has heart pieces, the heart pieces you get are a fourth of a heart. And someone in, I don't know who, in the dev team decided, you know what? With the amount of dungeons we have, we end up with 11 heart pieces, or heart containers, with the original base. So we have 9 hearts to work with for the standard 20. Let's make every heart piece worth a fifth. And that immediately makes every Twilight Princess heart piece get just a little thing against it. However, they're not necessarily all bad. They're just a little stunted. First up, on the Twilight Princess, we have a very simple one. When you're first going through the woods, which the opening of the game is long, so when you first go through the woods trying to look for the I can't remember which kid it is that gets kidnapped, you end up needing a key. So you go to this cave, you get the key real easily. If you remember that there are torches there, once you get the lantern, actually, no, you have the lantern by the time you first get to go in here, so it's not even a return thing. If you notice the torches there, you just light them with your lantern, and you get a little heart piece. So it's just a little, hey, you can light torches, very simple, little lantern thing. Solid B. Not amazing, but it's alright. So I said I like heart pieces in dungeons. I don't like formulaic heart pieces in dungeons. So the way that heart pieces work in Twilight Princess, in addition to being worth a fifth of a heart instead of a fourth, they also put 2 heart pieces in every single dungeon. And that, I don't know, I like that it's a reward for exploring, but I don't like it being an expectation once you get used to it. So, first dungeon, assuming you get both the first dungeon, which honestly, the ones in the first dungeon are actually kind of hidden well, I'll admit. So I like them a bit more. They don't force, you don't fully learn the formula by the time you get to them. The first one requires you to figure out how to use bomb wings to get them open. You got to figure out how to bomb wing. You have to throw it off a massive cliff into the plant, so you have to be aware of how the room is shaped. So I think this one is actually pretty good designed. I think this is a solid A. The only thing I don't like about it is that if you don't get it before you beat the dungeon, you cannot get it until you've gotten the claw shot from the 3rd dungeon, because you cannot fully explore without the monkeys. The same one suffers from the same thing, but it's a little different. So, this is what? I don't think this is. I don't remember the exact time you get this one, if it's a return trip to a room or not. But basically, it's when you're in this one room, You have torches, and you have to light them to get up a staircase. Uh, if you go back to this room, once you've gotten the boomerang, and you can put torches out, if you put all of them out, you reveal an alcove that has this heart piece. It's alright to get. I don't think it's as good as being spatially aware of the bombs. Okay, next one. Next is the Hyrule Field. Okay. This one is just in a tree. I don't like this one because I think it's hard to see. I think it's very obscured by the tree. All you have to do is throw a boomerang at it. Let's throw the boomerang at it. Lock onto it, grab it with the boomerang. Very simple. But I think it's so difficult to see that if you're not aware of it, you can very easily miss it. I think it's just, I don't know. This is a C tier. It's not that great. Next up is a very similar heart piece, but I think much better. So instead of being at the Hyrule Field, that's the southern part of it, it's when you're at Kakariko Gorge, which is basically the next region. All it is that you see this heart piece in the middle of the gorge, on top of a land thing. And I think this is the better one at teaching you can grab heart pieces with the boomerang than the first one is. Because the first one's in a tree, it's very hard to see. So you gotta actually see it first. This one is, oh, there's this heart piece in the middle of, like I said, this giant gorge that you cannot cross. You cannot get up there even after double claw shots. So what you have to do is you have to look at it and just try grabbing it with the boomerang. It's very simple, but I think it's a little nice lesson to teach. I think this is a solid beat here. It's not amazing, but it's alright. Next one. No one likes goats. No one likes goats. Once you get Epona, herd some goats. No one likes goats. They don't behave. Next up. It's time for the next two of the... Oh, this one. I think I remember what this one is. Yeah, no, I know what this one is. The next dungeon is Goron Mines. And this heart piece is frustrating for the wrong reason. This one is, you have to use the iron boots to get to a corner of the room. There's just one slight problem. The iron boots move so slow. It is so bad. And you have to walk to a completely different corner of the room than where you're trying to get this heart piece. It's awful. Actually, no, this is an F tier. It's just such a tedious walk. This is another Iron Boots walk. It's just noticed that the wall is suspicious and walk up it. It's not as bad as the other walk, but it's still, no one likes Iron Boots walking. Like, at least in OOT, Iron Boot walking underwater is not bad because you could just side hop. Once you're on a wall, you can't side hop in Twilight Princess. Next up. Okay. Give me 1 second. So this one is... I had to review to make sure it was right. This is an interesting one, where once you've gotten the bow from the Goron Mines, Talo, who is one of the little boys, wants to see you use the bow. And I think it's funny, because the first target is easy, the second target is easy, and the third one is Mallow on the other side of Kakariko, at the very top of the building being like, hit this tiny pole. And it's honestly not that bad to do without the Hawkeye, but if you have the Hawkeye, it's really easy. Hawkeye is just a little mask that you get to put on that lets you zoom in. It's weird that there's a zoom feature locked behind money, but whatever. I think it's funny. I think it's just a little cute minigame that just shoot 3 targets. This one is gonna go... It's not in C, I just need to... This is just a beat here. It's not amazing, but it's cute. Okay. Next up is This one is another very hidden one for the wrong reason. Basically, there's a rock on the top of a ledge, and you have to notice that rock can be destroyed by bombs, and you have to learn to use bomb arrows, which I do like. I think bomb arrows are neat, but you have to bomb arrow it, and then a heart piece appears there, and then you have to pick it up with the boomerang. I think just noticing the rock is a little... It's a little frustrating. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's still, it's all right. I think this is a solid C. It's the same issue as the other one of it can be so obscured to actually notice it. Okay, next up is oh yeah, the next one you have to drown yourself. So this one, after you get bombs, still in Kakariko, there is a rock that you can notice that takes you towards the spring, you know, where you turned in the things of light to stop being a wolf and all that. This one is an actual noticeable like rock that you'll see, and you blow it up, follow this path, and then you'll notice there's some water. And this is the first time where you really have to use iron boots to sink, and I think it's a good way to teach that. And once you sink, there's just a chest, and you just casually drown yourself to get a chest. I mean, obviously, if you know, just take off the boots, you go back up, but you know, drown yourself. I think this is just a very simple tutorial. I like it. This is just a solid B. Okay, next up we have... What is this one? Oh, this one. Okay, so this one is... It's alright. You just it's basically return to the Gorons after you've beaten the dungeon. And there's one that lets you shoot up to an alcove on the path that goes to the... Wouldn't call it Goron Village, but, you know, Goron area. It's alright. Just a little out-of-the-way alcove. Just good for being observant. And it's something you'll actually see because this is an alcove you get shot from, which I think makes it a little better. That there's something that draws your eye there. Plus, you just talk to a Goron, and he'll launch you up. And so, if you're just talking to NPCs, you get rewarded. It's not amazing, but it's still a little cute. This is just a solid C. What is this next one? Kakariko Gorge Cavern. Oh, yes, this is... Okay. So, this is one of the caverns that you have to bomb to get into. The Dark Caverns in Twilight Princess are... They're all right. I don't think they're amazing. But it's... It's basically just go in, follow, you know, have some lantern fuel, which I don't like, but I understand why it's a thing. And then just go to the right path. I think you have to... I don't remember if you have to light torches to make the chest appear or not. Yes, you have to light some torches to make it appear. It's... The cave is alright. It's another C tier. It's not amazing. Okay, next up. Which one's this? What is... Oh, yeah, okay. So this one is... I actually like this heart piece. So when you first go to the West Hyrule Field, or East Hyrule Field, it depends on the version you're playing. I just realized how the mirror world, how the world being flipped is frustrating. Whenever you go to, you know, north of Kakariko, you see some ledges, like some rock ledges on the side, and if you just try to climb them, you'll be able to. You go up this path, and you'll see a boulder that's just across a gap you need to get rid of, and there's some vines that you can hop onto. All you have to simply do is use some bomb arrows, blow it up, keep following the path. It's very simple and straightforward, but it's just kind of rewarding you for, you know, realizing you can use bomb arrows, which I'm pretty sure an NPC tells you about. This one's alright, not amazing, just another C. Not really too noteworthy. This one. So I don't like shop heart pieces, and this is functionally a shop heart piece. However, because of all the crimes you have committed getting other heart pieces, you gotta be nice. And so this one is, instead of just straight up buying it, you donate it. And honestly, with how Twilight Princess is very, 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 very willing to throw all the money in the world at you, it's not that bad to get. Plus, Agatha is right next to there, so you'll have money anyway. All you have to do is donate 1,000 rupees. That's cheaper than even what is it? Cheaper than buying the one from Beetle and Skyward Sword. So it's not amazing. It's basically another shop heart piece, but the animation of the heart piece just descending from the heavens is kind of funny to me. Just enough to keep it out of F tier and put it into D. Barely enough, though. Okay, this one. I don't really care for fishing minigames in games. This one makes me like the fishing, all because all you simply do to get this heart piece is you just grab it with your fishing rod on a boat. Why they decided to make it to where you use a fishing rod to grab a heart piece on a ledge, I don't know. It's funny to me, though. Entertaining enough to put it in C. It's not amazing, but it's funny. Yes, next one is the Isle of Riches minigame. So how this minigame works is it's Cuckoo flying, the minigame. But this one is funny because it's just the whole thing of there's this giant group of cuckoos that the dudes just keep taking care of, and you just pay him, walks out of the way, and just go fly into the lake. And all you have to do is, what, do you even have to land on the top? Yeah, no. You don't even have to land on the top of the thing. You just have to land on. So there's a spinning platform at the very top that is the like highest tier. I think you have to land on the one that's just below that to get your heart piece. So it's not even like land on the most challenging thing. It's just fly a cuckoo to this island. It's just ridiculous enough for me to like it. I think this one's a B tier because it's just a ridiculous minigame that's just funny to me. Next up is another cavern. Oh, Lake Hylia Cavern. Okay, so Kakariko Cavern is alright. Kakariko Gorge Cavern. The Lake Hylia Cavern is too long. If you don't know it well, you're gonna run out of lantern oil, and then it's just awful to navigate, and you gotta go get some lantern oil, and then you gotta come back. And if you're trying to do it at the earliest time, you don't have warping yet, so you have to manually go all the way between. It's just, I don't like this one. I really don't like this cave. It's an F. It's such a long cavern, and it's... Anyway, after all of that, we've made it into the third dungeon, Lake Bed Temple. So, Lake Bed, I like it. It's the water temple again, basically. You have to be very cautious how water's flowing instead of what water level is at. I really like the Lake Bed Temple. Some people don't, because water. I think this first heart piece is a really nice way to make it to where... So you have to figure out how to, get water to fill the main chamber to be able to get to the boss. This one extends doing that. So once you've done it, you've made water to the main chamber. If you continue this and set up water to go back to one of the first chambers you went to, you can get the heart piece. And I really like that. It also teaches you to think about, you have to step on a gate and then use a hookshot to get back behind. I just really like this one. I think it's a well-designed dungeon heart piece. This is a solid A. It's not amazing as like the Skyward Sword dungeon heart pieces, but it's still pretty good. This next one is... It's very simple. All you have to do is get up on the chandelier. And this one doesn't even do crime. This one isn't even vandalism or anything. It's just get on the chandelier. So it's not as cool as, breaking it. But it's just look up at the chandelier, hook shot up there, or claw shot up there, whatever. It's meh. This is just a C. It's nothing compared to its brother in the other part of the temple. Okay, what is the next one? Oh yes, Sacred Grove. This one is eh. So, on your way through the Sacred Grove, you're going to be annoyed by Skull Kid. And eventually you get to kick his ass, which is wonderful. We love beating up Skull Kid. You do that, you do the puzzle, or what is considered the hardest puzzle in the Zelda series, probably. Which I understand. I don't like the statue puzzle. If you manage to remember that in the arena you beat up the Skull Kid was a bomb after spending who knows how much time on the puzzle. You go back there, bomb it, turn into a wolf, dig, get it. I think you have to also defeat some like Babas in there as well, but it's a reward for just remembering there's a very, very, very suspicious boulder, and that you can switch to a wolf. The downside is it's another one that can be missed if you don't get it, or you don't permanently miss it, but you can't get it immediately. You have to wait until you come back here for the Temple of Time. And that is not what. So you first get this before you get this after 3 dungeons, and if you miss it or if you leave, you have to get it after you have to do 2 more dungeons before you can return. So it's It's good that it's rewarding you for observing, but it still gets put off a while if you just don't remember at the moment. Okay, next one. Okay. As much as I don't like the whole Malamart quest, I think this one's funny. Just because, so the manually doing this sucks until you realize you just walk on the edge and you're fine. But the reward cutscene of you splash some water on this Goron and he's just ready. He's just raring to go and just zooms past you and then zooms past you again and drops a heart piece. I don't know. It's a cutscene. It's like, it makes it worth it. It makes you feel good. It's entertaining. Solid B. Next up is Lanayru Spring. So this one is, it annoys me that mechanically or like design wise you come back, you are right here, but you immediately get stuck as a wolf once you beat the 3rd dungeon. And so you have to come back here and use the claw shot to actually get it. But it's not that bad. You come back to the lake anyway. Like, you'll come back at least 2 more times in the game, so it's not like it's super out of the way. You just have to, like, go back in there. It's a C. It's not amazing, but it's a... Okay, next up we have this minigame. I don't like this minigame because I just find it dull. This one is... So you have to do this once in the story when you're getting out of the lake as the dog, as the wolf or whatever. When you come back, it's changed that now you're running into fruit. And all you have to do is just hit only oranges or only strawberries to get enough points and you'll get a piece of heart. But I feel like this minigame always controls weird. I don't know. It's a D. It's not terrible. It's not like the minigames I hate, but it just controls badly. Next one. I forget this piece of art exists. That's how unmemorable it is. Basically, north, where the Bridge of Elden is, where it gets disappeared. If you go back there after having the claw shot, there's a cave you can get into. And in that cave is a heart piece. It's just go through a little mini cave. Or, if you actually know what you're doing, you can actually, like, drop to the very bottom and then iron boots and get magnetized. Like, you can do a lot of it really fast. It's an alright cave. It's not one of those... It's not the long cave that I don't like. It's just another C. It's not too noteworthy. Speaking of noteworthy, though, I love this heart piece because it's so dumb. So, when you're on your way to the Arbiter's Grounds, you have to deal with the Bulblin Fortress. While there, for some reason, there's just... They have their food that they're cooking. And if you just beat the shit out of it, it drops a heart piece. And I don't know why, but I love it. That you absolutely just brutalize this meat, and you get a heart piece for it. Anyway, moving on. In the Arbiter's Ground itself, uh, there are two heart pieces because it's Twilight Princess. What is this one again? Um. Oh yeah. It's like in the main room where you see the pose that do the forest temple thing and steal the fire. You have to like hook shot across to get a chest. I don't know. It's forgettable. It's a really quick thing of just you have to make sure you claw shot to it instead of rolling across. Like it's just a little test of, hey, have you thought about how you're getting out of the scenario you're going to put yourself in? It's a C. It's not. I forgot it exists. However, this one I don't forget. I love the spinner. As useless as it is outside the dungeon, I fucking love the spinner. It is such a ridiculous item, and it is so much fun to be just barreling forward at intense speeds. So much so that that's why they made it a weapon in Hyrule Warriors. It is just fun to use. And this heart piece is in the most fun room in the Arbiter's Grounds, where you have your spinner, and you're just going nuts. You're just fucking barreling through the room, doing insane shit, riding walls. It is... God, I love this heart piece. This is one of my favorite in the series. This is a top tier heart piece. I fucking love this thing. Speaking of the spinner, because damn do I love it. While it is basically useless in the overworld, there are two heart pieces that take use of it, and they are fun. One of them is this is north of the Great Bridge of Hylia, where you just have to notice that there's like some little side path that has rails on it. And if you start riding it, you just have to start bouncing across walls, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And eventually, you just end up on the platform with the heart piece. It's just another little, hey, here is another spinner challenge. Do it. It is simple. I love it. It's not as great as the room in Arbiter's Grounds, but it's still pretty good. Speaking of spinner challenges, there's another one that is actually north of the Bridge of Eldon. Which this one is not as cool, because this one is just use it to go across an abyss and then dig. It's not one that you're actually like doing cool spinner stuff. It's more of just treating the spinner as a glorified claw shot more than anything. So this is a C. It uses the spinner, but it doesn't actually use it. It makes it where it's just functionally a key. Next up, we have the ones in the Snow Peak Ruins, very quickly. Okay, what is this first one? Gosh, oh, yeah, this one. I forget all the time about this heart piece. It's basically just, while you're exploring, there's a target on the wall that looks very suspicious, and a floor that's just wrong. You break the floor, fall down, open a chest, hop back up. It's not that memorable. It's basically just a hidden wall. It's nice that they do it in 3D, and they actually they use the elevation. I think it's a B. It's better than a lot of heart pieces, but it's all right. Anyway, I don't like this one. I hate this heart piece. I hate. So the other Snow Peak Ruins heart piece is in the foyer, and it's really simple what you do. Basically, there's a target next to the door, like on the upper floor once you've gotten there, that you can break to make a shortcut, and you'll want to shortcut. I don't like the swinging platforms, and using them sucks. They're not fun to do, I don't think. You basically just throw the ball and chain, which it feels, for a ball and chain, it controls like it should. It is heavy. It is powerful. But God, does it suck to be hitting these chandeliers to try to hop across them to get this heart piece. It it is so frustrating to me. It's yeah. I like I said, I hate it. There's a reason it's an F. Next up is one of the only things that you actually use the ball and chain for. North of where Hyrule Castle is, so the North Hyrule Field portion, there's a cave, and it just has block pushing puzzle. You have to use, uh, you have to blow it up, and then there's an ice thing that you see that you have to use the ball and chain in, and then it's just 3 rooms of block pushing puzzles. I don't like the block pushing puzzles in Twilight Princess because of how big they are. I think because the block is what, like 2 to 3 times the size of Link, that feels slow to do. There's block pushing puzzles, even ice block pushing puzzles in other Zelda games that work because the blocks are the size of Link. These just feel so long to do. It's a D. It's not unbearable, but eh. Anyway, speaking of the ones relating to Snow Peak, instead of being related to the ball and chain this time, it's related to the way you got to Snow Peak, which is doing some sick snowboarding. And this one is a snowboarding race. So you go against Yeto, then you go against Yeta, and you have to be good at snowboarding to actually get this one. And I really like this one. I think it is so much fun to do. I enjoy how the snowboarding is. It's just a really fun one. It's like there's not much to say to it. It's just solid. This is an A tier. I think it controls a little too badly for me to say it's an S, but it is pretty fun. Next up, oh yes, so Temple of Time, which is a dungeon I already love because of how it's designed, where it is a linear dungeon, but the gimmick is that you have to go through the line twice, and it's drastically different on the way back. So, the Dominion Rod locks both of the heart pieces. The way that they both work is very simple of get a statue in the right spot to open up a barrier to get your thing. That is exactly how both of the heart pieces here work. I think they're alright. They're not amazing. I think the Dominion Rod is a neat idea. I'd say these are C's. They're not that amazing. Like I said, it's just eh. Next up is the Temple of Time entrance one. This is very similar, except it's just use the Dominion Rod to remove, to move a statue out of the way. It's functionally the Dominion Rod is just being a key here, similar to the other spinner one. It's not noteworthy. It's a D. Okay, next up we have... Oh, yeah. This is an F. This is an F. I hate this one. So, the Hidden Village is an area you go to restore Isla's memory. And the first trip to the Hidden Village is so good, because it's a cool sniper duel. You're taking out bokoblins left and right, just fucking sniping your way through this, what looks like a western town. I love it. If you come back a second time, after restoring Isla's memory, you are punished with this heart piece. What you have to do is you talk to a Cuckoo, and he says, speak to all 20 cats. I think it's 20. It might be 30. I don't remember. It's suffering. The problem is, every cat, I want to say, is in the exact same spot as a bokoblin that you killed. Except, the cats will follow you. So the problem becomes, you'll speak to some cats early on, and it will seem easy. And then, they all start following you, and you don't know which ones you've spoken to and which you haven't, so you just end up talking to the same ones over and over again. Meanwhile, some cat is in a terrible spot trying to find it. It's just so frustrating. It's so tedious. It's not fun. It is rough. Okay, next up is Okay, so these next two are very similar. This one's just far worse. So both these are using Dominion Rod when you're getting like the letters that you need to translate whatever you need for to fix the cannon. This one is dumb because you on the Bridge of Eldin, you have to move a statue to get access to the thing because that's how all of them are. Is move a statue, stand on the thing, you get the letter. Then they always have some secondary item hidden behind doing an actual puzzle. The puzzle for this one though is, can you walk the statue all the way down the bridge? And that's all you do, is you get the statue and you walk it down the bridge. I know if you learn some glitches, you can actually skip ever doing this using like the Gale boomerang long jump slash, I don't know the whole thing, where you can actually jump across the gap that this entire purpose of the statue is for. But it's just boring and dull. It's not like unbearable, but it's just takes a while. Next up is a much better Dominion Rod one, where once you have the Dominion Rod and you go to Orden Woods, you get a sky character, but there's a circular hole in the ground that's like very clearly for the statue. And the gimmick is that once you put it there, you have access to use the wolf like quick jump thing that puts you on the statue. So you finish up this path to make to the quick jump, and I find the quick jump fun because I don't know, fast things make my brain happy. I don't know, it's weird. So you just do a little quick jump. I think it's a much better puzzle compared to the walk down. It's still not amazing. I think it's still like a C. It's not that much better. The Dominion Rod heart pieces just aren't good. Next up we have the City and the Sky heart pieces. Okay. So the first one, do I even remember the first one? No, I don't. So I have a guide for every single heart piece just to like help, me know. I'm reading this and I don't recognize it. I've gotten it. It's just that unmemorable. It's just a random chest in a room that you have to navigate to. It's like a C. I have no ill will towards it. It's just, eh. The next one is... okay. This is one where there's just a bunch of P-hats and you hook between them. I think it's alright. It's not amazing. Just, it's another C tier. It's not too memorable. It's just get to an island using P-hats. Like I said, the dungeon ones don't get too interesting. So we're starting the last three. This is the only heart piece locked by double claw shots. And it's actually back towards the very beginning of the Twilight Princess ones. It's right next to the Gale Boomerang heart piece in the Kakariko Gorge. And instead of getting the one on top of the rock, you're actually going to the bottom of the rock using the double claw shot. I think it's a nice way to have two heart pieces so, like, one towards the very beginning of the game, one towards the very end, both kind of be in the same place to kind of make this nice, honestly, how do I put this, like, I know there's a word for it that has to do with, like, story writing. It's just a nice loop or whatever that brings everything together. I wish I could remember the word off the top of my head. But I like this one. It's an A. I think it's simple to get. It's nice, like, flavor-wise. The last two are heart pieces locked in the Palace of Twilight. Gosh. Both of these are very similar. Where it's just put the Orb of Light in the right area to activate a platform. They can be annoying to get because if you want to get them while you have the soul, the Orb of Light or whatever it is, you need to like be aware of the hand that wants to grab it or whatever. But you can just walk back in once you've made the Master Sword cool. They're both C's. They're not good or bad. They're just little platforms. But that is every single Twilight Princess one. It's time for Wind Waker, which has 44, which is somehow one less than Twilight Princess, despite, them actually having value. The first one is in Forsaken Fortress. I like this one because it is basically once you get into Forsaken Fortress, you get thrown in jail. Break out of jail, and it's basically right there. You get you end up getting the spoils bag. But if you just hop down on the first floor that you get spit out of, there's just another jail cell that you wanted to break into. I think it's a good one. Probably solid B. Okay, next up is this fucking thing. I hate Sploosh Kaboom. I hate Sploosh Kaboom. I hate Sploosh Kaboom. Every time I play the Wind Waker randomizer, I do Sploosh Kaboom for some reason. I don't know why. And it brings me such suffering. It is... This one is just beating it once, so it's not that bad. The real bad one is the 20 shot, part. So it's not the worst part, but I am sick of Sploosh Kaboom. And every time I play it, I die a little more on the inside. On the better side of things is Hide and Seek. It's a really cute minigame. You have to do it anyway to beat the game, just because you'll end up having to get the Cabana Deed. It's alright. It's not amazing by any means. It's just find 4 kids. It's required by the game's story. While it doesn't seem like it initially, it's an early heart piece that you'll have to get eventually. Probably B. I think finding the kids is a little fun thing. Their reactions are entertaining. Next up is the heart piece on Proper Nile, which I like this one. I think it is a very well-designed heart piece to teach you how the game works much later. So you can get this heart piece extremely early by exploring Pauper Isle on your way to Dragon Roost, which is you're stuck in that line initially. If you were rewarded for exploring the island on the way, which is good because this teaches you very quickly, hey, you should explore the islands across the sea. And it's a piece of heart reward. In fact, it is set up to be the 4th piece of heart if you're just doing, getting them as soon as you can. So it's a very good, hey, you just got your first extra heart, and it's because you did the thing you really need to do in this game. So I think it's very good from a game design standpoint. I think this is actually an S. As simple as it is of just go through this cave, it is set up exactly how it should be. Anyway, next up is Rito Aribaito, which, for those who don't know what that is sorting mail. It's a minigame that can be frustrating to learn, but honestly, once you do, it's not that bad. It's a simple minigame. It's not outstanding or amazing. You just sort some mail, send a mail and a letter. Okay, next up we have a free one. You check the mail. That's it. It teaches you to check the mail. You didn't do anything to earn it. It's D. I'm putting treasure charts in D tier. I don't like treasure charts. I think the concept behind them is fun. I think actually getting them is frustrating. Every single one I put, if I put one in D tier without explaining it, it's a treasure chart. This one is actually a submarine. I think submarines are actually neat. They're not amazing. They're just go in, do a little murder, get rewarded. A lot of these are about to be just free ones that are frustrating. This one is treasure chart. Oh yeah, this one is a reward for exploring Angular Isles, which I like Angular Isles as small as it is. It's just a little place. It's not amazing. Just climb this little thing. A lot of Wind Waker ones are bad. Oh yes, this one is the Hoi Pair. So this one you can see from Headstone. Which, I mean, you have to go there anyway at some point. And you probably will see it while looking at the island itself. It's not, while it's high vertically, you just will notice it. It's just a reward for, hey, use a bird. Which you'll have to anyway to get one of the Triforce pieces. It's honestly C. None of these are... Wind Waker's really bad heart pieces. Next is... treasure chart. And then a Needle Rock. Okay. I like Needle Rock for the wrong reason. The gimmick in Needle Rock is you have to hit all these switches with a holy pair, but I find it entertaining because if you do it right, you just end with this single seagull being chased down by like five birds, and it's kind of entertaining. It's funnier than I think it was meant to be, but I honestly like this one so much that it's A. Next up is the only chest on Great Fish Isle. You just have to notice an alcove and this spiral tower. It can be annoying to notice, but it's not that good or bad. Next up is another six-eye reef. This is another submarine. Just kill some moblins. Okay, this one is Orca's Challenge. Gosh, this really has hit him 500 times. If this was 100, I think I would like this. 500 is too much. It becomes too tedious. It's just sit there, counter, hit a couple times, or just hit twice, run, hit twice, run. It takes too long. It's not good. It's better than treasure charts. Okay. Next up is Stonewatcher. Okay, this one is from destroying cannons on a lookout platform. This is, it's alright. Like, most of these aren't noteworthy. Okay, this one I do like. So, I think this one works for the wrong reason. So, when you're doing the section where you're trying to get, bombs, right after you get bombs, you will likely go straight to outset. You can't warp yet, so you'll probably pass through Tingle Isle and end up hitting this Octo. And I honestly enjoy the fact that you get to beat up this Octo, and if you've done it where, you just got bombs, you can shoot him with that. Otherwise, you still have the boomerang. You'll either see it going to outset, you might see it earlier when you're going from Great Fish to outset, depending on how you pass, but I just think it's fun to beat up an Octo. It's honestly on the better end of Wind Waker, which is sad. Next up is the Spectacle Island minigame. Meh. You just shoot a cannon at things. At least it's not Sploosh Kaboom, which I think makes it C tier. Next up is the 80 rupee auction. I don't really like the auctions because you have to keep walking back and forth in and out until you get the item you actually want, or you have to buy them all. But on the upside, you at least get to, you get to make the shocked thing. I think the shocked reaction's funny. It's a B tier. It's on, like I said, it's the better end of Wind Waker heart pieces. Okay, so this next art piece is okay. In a vacuum, this heart piece is fine. It's take a picture of Linda, show it to Anton, they go to a date, get your reward. The problem is, it is after the deluxe Picto Box sequence, which is very frustrating your first time, and still annoying later times, because just one of the pictures won't count, because why not go fuck yourself? It's a D only because all the prior stuff to getting it is frustrating. The actual part that's just getting this heart piece is fine. Hey, speaking of getting a heart piece, treasure chart. Next up is 7-Star Isle. Oh yeah, this is another Octo. This is a 12-eye Octo. Octos are on the better side of... Oh yeah, it's a C. I think it's a C. I don't even remember what I ranked the last Octo. They're so... What did I call this? Oh yeah, the last Octo is a B, only because it's positioned in a way that's, like, good. This one's just in the ocean. This next one is 20 golden feathers for a heart piece from a dude on the Dragon Roost. You'll get them if you're, like, diligent about getting them, but otherwise it's tedious to grind for. see. Next up is flight control. I don't. I suck at flight control. I've done it, but it just. You just gotta be careful about flying with it. I think it's a bad minigame. It's basically just, hey, can you fly with the Deku Leaf well? Cool. Now for an actual good heart piece. Yes, they do exist in this game. Bomb Island's cave, I think, is actually fun. Because it is the one where you beat the shit out of the little lizard things. I can't remember what they're called. The mini... I cannot remember what they're called. And you just throw them on switches. And I think it's actually fun to just counter, throw them on a switch. I've decided you are my toy. So that is an actual A tier. This, however, is a D tier because it's a treasure chart. And so is this one. Boy, do I hate treasure charts. Next up is the Star Island Grotto. What is the Star... I don't even remember what the actual grotto itself is, but it's just... I think the fighting grottos are just a nice break from sailing. God, I enjoy Wind Waker. I don't enjoy 100%ing Wind Waker. This is the C. You do alright some combat. Now for a heart piece that actually requires thinking, which is shocking. Basically, this heart piece is you have to plant 14 plants from Zanari's shop around Windfall. You talk to this guy, he talks about how this island should be prettier. You just listen to his advice. It actually requires some thought to understand what he means. So this is an A tier. Anyway. Back to the worst kind of heart pieces. Shop heart pieces. Which are... I mean, they're D tier. Oh, no, they're F tiers. I don't like shop heart pieces. You pay $9.50 to Beetle in a hat. Next up is... this... Okay. So this one's weird to me. Rockspire has one of the weirdest heart pieces. How it works is at the southeast of Rockspire's quadrant. Quadrant's not a good way. There's not 4 of them. Well, Rockspire's section. There are 2 gunboats. One of them drops a heart piece. The other one just drops money. But it's not clear that they're special. It just seems like they're random enemies. I think it doesn't communicate well, which puts it, honestly, in F. I really hate how lack of communication is. However, this is D because it's a treasure chart. You may be noticing a pattern, such as how treasure charts go in D. Okay. This one is... Okay, this is the shop... Okay. So this is the trading sequence with the Gorons in the ocean. I think it can be annoying the first time. Without a guide, it sucks. To get up to the Shopguru statue, because you need to go between the 3 repeatedly. One is at Mother and Child Isle, which you can't warp to because the warp puts you inside the island. It wants to be neat. It's a C. It's tedious, but it at least requires you to do some thinking. Later times with a guide, it's fine. On the better end, I legitimately like Wizard Trees. I think it's interesting. It requires you to make note of what you have seen around the ocean and plan a route to get them all. It's not an F. I think this is a solid A, because it requires you to be aware of the ocean itself. Something that a lot of heart pieces don't need. I mean, I guess technically treasure charts do, but it's more so, hey, have you filled out a tile? Cool, match this up. Next up is... Oh, one that requires think again. So these 2 are connected to each other. These next 2 at least. So they are both involved with the windmill, the windmill on Windfall, where you have to light the torch in the middle of it. One is light it, so the second one is light it, open the chest that spawns on the little island. The first one is light it, talk to a guy. I think they both weigh each other down. So individually, one of these heart pieces would be great, because it's interacting with the environment. It's talking to a guy to learn about how the lighthouse was. I think the fact that two of them are tied to this help like weighs each other down. I think these are both Bs. I think if one of them existed and not the other, it would be an A. But together they both just become a B because they both are mitigated by each other. If that makes sense, where they're not as big of a like individual reward. Next up is Maggie. Okay. So this one is good because the actually getting it is not that interesting, but the sequence that results from it is funny. So all you do is you take a letter from Maggie, put it in the mail, go see what happens once the response gets delivered. But the mail is so ridiculous because it's just a moblin falling in love with... It's a girl that's fallen in love with a moblin. I think the story to it is very entertaining, that it becomes an S. Like, you don't do much for it, but it's just so funny of just seeing this really dumb girl. This one's a treasure chart. Okay, this one is Carry the Giant Pig. Which it's weird to think about how much of these heart pieces are, available, I guess, so early on. But so this one is, you carry the giant pig. Like what? You carry this giant pig. How do I put this? You carry this pig all the way to... Where is it? I can't remember. You have to carry it across... It's on Outset. You take the pig from the pen that's like up towards the back end on the right side, and you have to carry it across the bridge in the middle all the way to this one suspicious digging area. But I don't think that area is too obvious. I think it's neat what you do. Like, I really like what you do, but I think it's just a B because it's not... I don't remember if there's an NPC that tells you about it or anything. The next two are both treasure charts. Actually, this last one is a treasure chart. I've just realized there is a piece of heart I have not included. And I don't have an image to add to it real quick, but I will mention it now. So, this last one that I just put, there was a treasure chart, is in the Wii U version. There is another one. The actual last piece of heart in the GameCube version is at the bottom of the Savage Labyrinth, which also is insane. But I like it so much that, like, let's say I had the Savage Labyrinth one, I think I would put that in A because I think the Savage Labyrinth, as difficult as it is interesting. I don't think a piece of heart is the right reward for it, but I think it's fun. So yeah, there's an additional one in A that I don't have the image for. So next up is Link to the Past, which I know all of these way too well. So first up, we have Drop in the Well in Kakariko. Very simple, very straightforward, nice reward. This is, I don't know, this is just B. It's not amazing. Like, I think the nod to it in Link Between Worlds is better than it itself. But it's just oh no, that was not the one I was thinking of. Sorry. This is Lost Woods. This is A, because it requires you to go into the Lost Woods, like the little area. You see the thief, and you see the heart piece, and you have to be aware of, like, okay, I need to get there. I don't see an entrance. What should I do? And you have to be aware of, oh wait, maybe there's a hole, which you've already learned from the beginning of the game. Next up is this is the one that's in the... Ow. This is the one that is in... this is an A. So the one in the well. It's an A because it requires you to think. So you can fall into the well and you get some items. But you have to actually use bombs to open up the area. And it shows, like, it's a little crack, but it's the first, like, real use of bombs in the game. Especially since, bombs aren't a dungeon item, they are just a thing you find. or find or buy. Next one is very similar. It's another basically tutorial for the bombs. It's just in what it's the thief hideout or blinds hideout or whatever it's called. I don't remember. This is just a B. It's not as good as the well because the well actually requires you to also figure out to fall into it. Next up is the 15-second race. It's easy. Use the bombs to make the brother's house open up, which is a little ridiculous, and then you just do a little race. You have to actually figure out, how to navigate this maze quickly, and then you just get your prize. It's simple and straightforward, but I don't know. This I think is a solid C. It's not amazing. It's just a nice little thing to learn. Next up we have, this one is in, this is in not Sahasra's cave, Agina's cave. You go into the cave in the desert where Agina is, and you just bomb his wall. A lot of these, I think the past downside is that a lot of these are just bomb a wall. I think this is a solid C. This next one is, this one I like because it's a dungeon heart piece. And like I said, I like dungeon heart pieces when they're not Twilight Princess's pattern. This one is, hey, you got, this dungeon is connected with the overworld. Explore this overworld that you get spit out onto. And in doing so, you get a heart piece. I think it's, especially being the earliest in this, it's not the earliest in the series. No, it is, because Link's Awakening is the 4th game. So yes, this is the earliest heart piece. So the first game to have heart pieces, and they already used it in the dungeon, and I think because it's the first one, it deserves to be an S. Next up is, what is this one? Oh yes, this is the Sanctuary, or this is the Pegasus Boots onto the Pile of Rocks heart piece. It's alright. It's not outstanding. It's just you learn how to get rid of Pile of Rocks. I think it's a B. Solid. Simple idea. Next up, this is the one that's literally, hey, have you figured out how to swim and jump off ledges in Zora's Waterfall? Not a crazy advanced or anything, but it's just a nice little tutorial for, hey, you can swim. I think it goes in C. It's not as good as other little things that teach you. You see it on the way up, and actually, no, never mind. It goes up. Where is it? I just realized you see it on the way up, so it is a B. Because you see it before getting the flippers, and then you get it on the way down. This next one is Spec Rock. Yes. So when you're on the mountain, if you go into Spec Rock, so in the middle of it, you'll see this heart piece across a gap. This rewards you for learning to hey, you should explore all the entrances you get. Because you see it on this gap, but you actually get it by going down the mountain off a cliff, which then wraps around up and gets you the heart piece. There's also another hint towards it, is that when you hop down into the pit, you will see a path going under into a staircase. And so that gives you an idea of spatially being aware where you are. And for the most part, being spatially aware works in Link to the Past. There's a cave where it doesn't, but... So I think it teaches you about space. Next one is, it really just teaches you, hey, the mirror, learn to mirror. That is all this is learn to mirror. And honestly, it's kind of important to learn to mirror, so it goes in A. Next up is... this one is the one that's next to... Gosh, this is outside of where you end on the Pyramid of Power. You see this one so easily. Just if you explore a little bit after beating Aghanim. I think it's a nice one. I don't remember if heart pieces fill your hearts. I don't think they fill your hearts unless it's the 4th one. So, yeah, no, they don't fill your hearts unless it is the 4th heart piece. And unfortunately, this lines up to be the 13th after the fight, so it's not a free heal after the fight. I don't even remember if you actually get healed from that fight or not. It's alright. It's not that amazing. A solid C. Okay. This one. So this is in what's known as Cave 45, I think. Which is... It's called that because it is the 45th cave ID, or whatever. This one is simply another one of, hey, do you understand how, the worlds, the Dark World and Light World are different? Use your mirror to navigate them well. It's alright. I don't think it's as good as the simple tutorial on Death Mountain. I think it's just another C tier. Uh, Next one is the same thing, but in the lake. It's exact same rating. I don't think they're too noteworthy. This one is the swamp one, which I like because it sets you up to learn later. So you drain the swamp, get a heart piece, and that sticks in your mind. And then later when you have to go to Swamp Palace, and he says, hey, the worlds do affect each other, you go, hey, I remember draining the water, and it put water through here. Maybe that works in, between the worlds. So I think this one is good for helping you understand something much later. So actually, yeah, that's an A. It's not an S. It's not, amazing. I don't think any of the Link to the Past ones are really that amazing. This one is... Oh, this is a Graveyard Cave. Graveyard Ledge. It's another one of, hey, It's another of learn to mirror. This one is Lumberjack? Yeah, this is Lumberjack. You've beaten Aghanim. Actually, I think about it. No, the Pyramid of Power one actually... Where is it? I'm raising it up one, because this does end up being... If you get all of them in reasonable order, this should be your 12th. Because this one is technically available at the same time as that one, but this one's just not reasonable to get at that moment. Basically, this one teaches you the world has changed. It's not a good lesson. It's not a good setup. I think it's honestly a D, because of the way you have to learn the lesson is the world has changed when you killed Aghanim. However, this one's not that clear. The Lumberjacks aren't cutting a tree anymore. And it is a very suspicious tree. But you have to be aware to hit it. Next up is Bumper Ledge. You have to use the cape. That's it. Use the cape. I don't even remember if the cape is... I can't remember if the cape is in Spike Cave or if it's somewhere else. I don't remember vanilla locations too well. But it's alright. Not another amazing one. I hate game winning minigame. I don't like it. It goes away. This one is one that rewards... This one I like because it's like, hey, the world's weird. Deal with it. You have to... This is the what is it called? Smiths? This is the pegs. There's all the pegs that are south of the ruined Smith house in the Dark World. And you just have to pound them all. There's no, reason to want to do it. It's just, hey, you see these pegs? Just hit them. I think it's just a weird one. I think it's not any amazing more than other ones. It's another C tier. But I think it's just a neat thing. I'm just, hey, the world's weird. Get used to it. Next is digging minigame. I hate this one because of how it actually works. So the way it actually works is, I want to say, after you've done 20 digs, it can then randomly appear when you dig. Which makes it take forever. Randomizer stuff makes it where it's going to always be within the first 20 digs, I believe, which is much more bearable. At least I think I have that right. Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, 20 digs or whatever. And you only get to dig 30 times, which doesn't help. This next one is Mire Shack? Yeah, when you're outside Misery Mire, there's just a place you can go into. You get a heart piece. Not really interesting. This one's another, hey, learn to mirror, pick up a rock. This one is... I think I like this one more just because this one you get, and it's not... Well, it is learn to mirror. It's remember what you saw. You have to remember something that you saw... Or no, you don't even see this earlier. It's just, hey, this island is suspicious. Mirror there. I think it's on the better end of learn to mirror, but still not amazing. Okay, this one is... Oh, this is the last one. This is the Turtle Rock one. The Mimic Cave, where you have the hammers. When you... This one is, hey, here's these ledges you saw. You see early on, or you see when climbing Death Mountain, but you don't have a way to get into. And you have to be aware of, oh, wait, I'm back in the overworld from this dungeon. I should check, what is here. And so I like that. I think that really helps us a lot. So this one, I think, it is probably, in my opinion, the one of the only other S tiers in Link to the Past. I really like how it works. I think that's all the Link to the Past ones. Next up, we have all of the remaining Link's Awakening, the original Link's Awakening ones. So, this first one, gosh, let me even, I don't even think I have a thing pulled up for Link's Awakening right now. Or the original, okay. So this one it is basically the same thing as one of the well heart piece in Link to the Past. Like, it is same exact thing. Jump in, get it. It's, for the first heart piece, I think it's alright. It's, hey, you got a sword, use it. Next up is, fishing. The fishing is a little different between the remake and the original, but they're close enough to where you can consider these the same. It's basically just grab a fish from, like, the way, there's 4 fish set up here. It's the fish that's directly below you. It can be a little frustrating to get, but I don't know. I think it's neat. It's a little fun little minigame. It's not amazing. Probably just another C tier. This one is, hey, you got the feather. Do you know, like, this is just on the way to where you're going with the feather. Not exciting. A lot of the original Link's Awakening ones aren't. This one's just a heart piece sitting in a cave that you're already navigating. I think it requires you to, so you see this one before you can actually get it, because you need the power bracelets to get it. And so it's just a nice little thing of, like, hey, you need to learn to, remember what you see. Not outstanding. A lot of these, like, the Awakening ones I can get an C, I'm pretty sure. This next one is, gosh, where even is this? Oh yeah, this one is, you see this cave early on before you have the Pegasus boots. But once you get it, you have to come back to break the crystals, which have always been a weird thing. In the Link's Awakening remake, they pop like they're balloons. It's a very strange thing. I think it's honestly on the better end, because it's a cave that you sticks in your mind because you bombed it open, and it had just these weird crystals that you only the only other time you see them is, like, if you go to the dream house after getting the power bracelet. Next up is the Yarn Desert. Gosh, where is this one? Oh yeah, so you probably get this one. So, okay, so when you're in the desert and you're fighting Lammola, you can sink into the quicksand, which, if you're not great, you might end up doing anyway. I don't remember if there's anything actually marking the north wall to this room being suspicious. You don't have to actually fall into the quicksand, you can go into another cave anyway. It's alright. I cannot remember if there's actually something indicating the wall or not. I don't think there is, which honestly might make it a little lower. Next up is, in the cemetery, do some grave robbing. What is you can do with this one? I think, so what you're meant to do here, so what you can do, so you can get this one earlier than intended. So you're intended to break, so this rock right here, you're meant to bomb it, hookshot across, jump north. The way you can get it when you first get here is just, you can actually jump onto this little southeastern part. I like it a little more because it can be sequence broken. That's about it. These two next two are underwater. Because I'm using the original, I don't like these. I think they're both D tier. Because I'm tying both the original and remake together. They would be higher up in the remake because you can see them. They are lower because you can't. They are just in the water. You just have to dive. Especially, so the Tall Heights one is alright. Because I think this is the cave you'll fall into, and then you just dive to get it, if you just dive when you land. The other one is just in the moat. You just have to go back there for some unknown reason. Next up is, oh yes, Animal Village. You go into this cave, and you can either, so you have to bomb to get in this cave, and it shows a weak spot, so it's clear. I rank this one a little higher because you can either go this other eastern path, drop a bomb and blow this up, or as this image is showing, you can use bomb arrows. I like bomb arrows. There's something that's really weird in Link's Awakening. I don't remember if someone tells you about them or not, but I think this is an A tier just because it's an excuse to use bomb arrows, which isn't often in the game. Next one is, oh yeah, when you're in the Tall Heights, you'll see there's a wall that is very suspicious in Tall Heights. I don't think it's marked as like cracked, but it's very strangely shaped so that it tries to invite you to bomb it, and if you do, you get this heart piece. So another C tier, not amazing. The last one I'm ranking a little higher. It is the second, I think this is B tier, second ever dungeon heart piece. Because when you're in the Turtle Rock of this game, at some point you have to go outside. I don't remember why. I know it creates, I think this has a warp, like the last warp in the original game, that just happens to have the heart piece there. Gosh, how much is left? Okay. Next up is Minish Cap. Minish Cap is interesting. So these heart pieces get strange. They get real strange. Kinstone Fusion ones are going to be ranked a little lower because I like Kinstones. I hate keeping track of them. So these first four, beautifully designed, I think. They are all set up so that you'll very easily see them. Well, maybe the second one's an exception. But they set you up to get your first heart container before the first boss. You don't need it. Like, it's not hard, but they're just set up in a good way. So the first one, you can get it for, like, right after you save Ezlo. However, if you follow the path the game kind of incentivizes you to take, you will see it when you'll see it on your way to the first dungeon, rather than going up the side path. So it's something you either keep in mind later, or you just happen to get. I think this one is a solid C. It's not amazing. The second one is just, hey, notice that sometimes things will be covered by, when you're a Minish, the leaves and stuff will block your path, but they will still show it. And that's exactly what this one is. And I also like this one because it sets up something for much, much, much later. These two are both in a dungeon, and I think the way they work is nice. One is you see it, and it requires you to kind of keep track of how the world is shaped. Not really. If you just use your Gust Jar when you get it, you'll run into this one. But it's just, you just see it on the way, and you're like, okay, so I should, figure out how this room connects. So it's another C tier. This one, I think, is a B, because nothing explicitly, shows you can suck up the stuff off the floor in here. You might think it's just a hazard and you have to deal with it. But if you actually try it, you run into all these switches. And one of them is this shortcut. Now, in Minish Cap, most of the shortcuts function as a shortcut. But the first dungeon is so small, and so, it loops in on itself enough, that there's no need for actual shortcuts. In fact, the boss is one room away from the start of the dungeon. Or 2 rooms, I guess. So much so that these 2 warps in the dungeon, one is a shortcut back to the start, the other one is instead opened up so you can get this heart piece. Next up, we have Kinstone tutorial. That is exactly what it is. It's hey, fuse kinstones. Unless you do a save and quit to get around it, it's just do fuse kinstones. It teaches you to go check kinstone spots. This next one is... It's a very clear, suspicious wall when you're climbing Mount Kreno. The problem is, the amount of bombs you have sucks ass. So much so that you might run out of bombs before you get to this cave. That makes me rank it, honestly, a D, just because it doesn't work well with bombs. Next up is... where is this one? This one is a very obvious, like, bomb cave on the way up. Like, it's just a bunch of rocks preventing you from hitting the wall, except this one. So it's alright. Next up is another in the dungeon. This one I like because you see it, you pass by it when you're Minish the first time, so you can't pick it up. But it makes you have to be aware of where it is in the dungeon again. I think a lot of the dungeon heart pieces in this game do that same thing. They make you have to be aware of how the place is spaced. And I like this one because you will see it, no matter what. You have to notice it. And then you have to be aware of, like, hey, where do I bomb to get through? And they make that obvious. They still make some pots kind of pointed out. This next one is your first Cane of Pocky thing. Yeah. So basically, use the Cane of Pocky to hop to the northwest of Lon Ranch. So it's really just like, you figured out, hey, you figured out to use the holes in the dungeon, use it in the overworld. And it just shows you another area. And then it sets it up to make it where you want to come back later with, like, how you see the water and stuff. It's not too amazing, just another C tier. This next one is... I like this next one because it is very good as a reward. So every Swordmaster, except for whatever the name of the first one is, I can't remember. Whatever blade. They all have a heart piece in the room to reward you for finding them. So this one is it's a very straightforward reward. You find it, you learn a skill. Yeah, you learn a skill, because this one just teaches you it. The downside is you have to climb the mountain immediately after you've gotten down the mountain. But it's like a very straight... It is, because you have the grip ring, it's actually just walk to the mountain, stay on the right side, and climb up. So it's not even bad to get to. It's pretty quick. Honestly, B, just because it gets you... It rewards you for knowing, hey, this was weird, I need clones here. And also, it's multiple rewards together, and it doesn't degrade them because they're two different rewards. One makes you survive easier, one makes cloning not as bad. Next up is... Oh yeah, this one. You have bombs in North Hyrule. There's a block, blow it open, go through. It's alright. Other C tier. This next one. I like this one because it's a reward for you exploring town as a Minish. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's another B tier. But it's just, hey, there's this whole... you figured out how the world is structured, where you can see things when you're big that are for Minish. Next up. This one's in Minish Woods when you're on your way to get the mushroom. You see this one early on. Like, this is the first heart piece you actually see. You just have to be aware that it's just a test of memory of, hey, do you remember this? Which makes it alright. Put it in B. This one is... I don't like kinstones. I think kinstones are another D, like, common one. Not this one. That is not what I meant to grab. Yeah, kinstones are going to be another D. Just because keeping track of them sucks, and having the right one can be awful. I think they're an interesting idea, but they just execute so poorly. Next up is... Oh, the one in Castor Wilds. This one is... I like this one because it helps this place stick in your mind. So like I said, all the blades have one, but this one I think is the best I'm actually putting this in F because it sticks to your mind of you go here and you talk to him and he's like, hey, do you need 7 techniques for me to teach you my technique? But you're still rewarded for having found it, for having done grave robbing immediately. Wind Ruins. This one's probably a B. It's another one that rewards you for noticing how the world is shaped with Minish. Actually, I'll put it in A. It's just walking as a Minish can suck sometimes. This one, Fortress of Ruins. I really like this one. This is an S tier because you see the thing to get to it. You can see the heart piece very easily. You can see the little gate, and you have to be aware of how you can fall from the very top to the bottom, and you have to use that to your advantage to get this heart piece. Next, we have the moments, so it's time to start digging. I hate this one. This is an F tier for... No, this is a D tier. It's not... I hate this one because you see the cave where this is when you climb the mountain the first time, and climbing the mountain sucks. This time, you have to climb the mountain again to get it. Thankfully, you just got the Ocarina, so getting off the mountain isn't bad, but it's just getting up there again sucks, even with the shortcut on the mountain, because that shortcut doesn't really speed you up much. I mean, it just gets you to the area more than anything. Next up is... This is another Kinstone one. You have to fuse, drain the garden, walk into it. This one is in the garden, and I don't know. This one's not as good as the other. This one's a B. It's another reward, except you go in there, and you find this guy, and he says, I can't teach you, it's too dark. So it sticks in your mind a little. Not as good as reminding you of, hey, here's the best blade, here's Great Blade, the ghost or whatever, who's going to teach you something cool. Next up is another Kinstone one. Which one's this? This is... Oh yeah, this is another Kinstone one, except you have to fuse with the what's he called? You have to fuse with the Minish that's like at the Ocarina warp point in the lake. Next up is... Oh, this one I like. So, throughout the world, there are trees that you can run into that are very suspicious that give you the ability to shrink down to a Minish. And it helps you remember that because the very first Minish portal you use is a tree trunk. And so this one is your reward for doing that. I think it's creative, actually uses the world in a neat way. Next up is... okay. I don't like this one because of how it's set up. So this is going in... This is an F. This is an F tier. So this is a return trip that sucks. So basically, after you get the flippers, which getting them is a whole process, you have to come back to this place, which you had to go to get the flippers before. When you went here, you were getting the power bracelet so you could push a bookshelf when you're small, so that you can get a book to fall from a ceiling. You have to return this whole dumb trick where you're getting smacked by cats to get this heart piece. It's not good. Next up. Okay, the next two are both in Castor Wilds. This one's a Kinstone one, where you have to fuse... Are the next 3 Castor Wilds? No, just these 2. This one is another fusion one. It's... Gosh, actually... Is this the one I'm thinking of? No, this one's an F tier as well. This one sucks. So, the only place to shrink in Castor Wilds is the northwest corner. And you have to travel... You have to do a fusion to get certain, what's it called? Lily pads to show up. And then you have to trek all the way to the southeast corner to get to the cave that has this. And then you have to deal with the bugs that throw their jaws at you. It's just frustrating. However, this one's much better. It's just the C tier. It's just a, hey, there's that part of Castor you couldn't actually navigate because you has actual water instead of swamp water. Navigate it. This one I like more. This is a B tier. So this one is the heart piece in Southern Hyrule Field, where there's another tree you have to run into, and there's a vine you can actually see that climbs into a cave from the water. So you have to just hop into the water from that tree. Fuck chickens. I hate chickens. I've done it so much. I have a Twitch emote that is just a drowning chicken. I hate this minigame. I do it so well with with 21 seconds to spare. Hate it. Hate doing it. Sick of it. Basically, and it's worse. I should note, it is worse in vanilla game. In the randomizer I play, you do one round, which is the last round to get it. In this one, you have to do several rounds of getting cocos, delivering them. It is so bad. There are some heart pieces in this game that are just unbearable. Next one is just another, like, remember what you saw, swim through as a Minish in the Minish Woods. It's a C tier. Not noteworthy. This one is Lake Hylia. This one's on the way to the dungeon. It's nice. It's simple. I'm gonna say another C. This next one is a B. It's within the area that has the... So when you go, if you explore Lake Hylia, once you can swim, there will be a tree, and in that tree is this person, and they only teach you their technique once you have 10 hearts. And technically, part of the way to get that is in their place. It's alright. Next up is... So I mentioned before, in Link's Awakening, I didn't like the random dive heart pieces. This is the only one in Minish Cap. And this dive heart piece you get by diving into a very just weird pond next to a house. I think it actually works because the pond is just a strange thing to add, so I think it's a B. Next up is in the graveyard. Oh yeah. So once you get to the graveyard, there's 2 side graves that you push. They're alright. It's nothing noteworthy. It's just, hey, use the power of 3 that you have now. Next up is this Veil Falls one you'll see, and you can pick up as you see it. It's just straight on the way. Nothing noteworthy. Next one is... this one's in Palace of Winds. I like it because it's noteworthy in how the game is structured, because you will see it early in the dungeon, but you have to be aware, and with how the dungeon is set up is you climb it twice. Once inside and once outside. So I think it's on the better end. I think it's a B. It's not like a great Dungeon Heart Piece one. This one I like because it's just a thing. Once you get the Rock's Cape, the world is more fun and interesting. Because you can just jump and you can fly more accurately. And so this one is just, hey, there's this really weird, there's this bell. Don't you just want to hit it? And you get rewarded for just jumping into the bell and hitting it. I think it's nice that it's another case of using the environment. I think it's a B. This next one is when you see it like Hylia. It's a C. It's just, hey, jump across. This next 2 are both tied to that last one. This one is a kinstone, so it's going to just go in D, naturally. This next one is, you see it in a different area, and it shows you that it requires you to be remembering that the caves can connect areas. It's not amazing. It's another C tier, I think. Just alright. This next one is... Gosh, where is this one? Oh, this one is a D. It's a Kinstone fusion, but this Kinstone fusion also sucks because you have to fuse with... What's it called? How do you put this? You fuse with someone at the top of Veil Fall, or at the House of Gales, then you have to descend back down. The warp point makes it alright, but I don't know. Next up, what is this one? Oh, okay. So this one is, you use a fusion to get a dig cave to appear. It's meh. You just have to, you fuse with the Minish at the, tied to like the second heart piece in the game, the one at the northeast of Minish Village. But you fuse with him twice, which there's issues with that. Next up is my favorite heart piece in the game, because it makes you have to leave the last dungeon. You have to be aware that the last dungeon is like You are in it, but you don't have to finish the game. You have things to do. However, how fucking ever. We'll get to this one in a minute. The other Minish Cap one listed here should have been earlier. It's just kill some enemies in a little mini game. Play 20 rupees, kill some enemies. Just another C tier. C tier is fucking massive. This one, you know what? No. I'm adding a tier. This thing is fucking... Add row below. This tier, this fucking heart piece is the worst heart piece in the series. No, go down. You're gonna be black. You're gonna be gray. You're just disappointment all around. This heart piece. For those who don't know, I could do such a long rant on this heart piece, but without going into too much detail, you have to go get every single figurine to open up the door to this. Technically, you don't need all of them. There's like 6 you don't have to get if you get them all before beating the game, but whatever. The point is, it takes fucking forever. It is a massive waste of resources, and it is infuriating. There are only 3 heart pieces in the entire series I have never gotten. This is one of them, and I will never get this heart piece. If you want to have an idea of how awful this heart piece is, if you've never played it, watch the speed run for this game. For 100% speed run. It spends the last hour and a half doing an RNG manipulation to get this heart piece. It sucks. Anyway, with Minish Cap out of the way, it's time for some more Majora's Mask. These are all using the 3DS version. First up, this one's you get on the way. I think it's alright. It's the title deed, first title deed. Second one is... what is this one? Oh yeah, you see this one in the tree branches in the north part of Clocktown. You get it pretty easily. I honestly put it as a B just because you see it pretty early, but you don't think you can get it until you're actually... you can't get it until you're actually a child, so you have to remember it. Next one is this minigame. I don't like this minigame because I actually, it's an F. I hate this minigame. I think it is simple in concept, but it punishes you so much for trying to rush it because you have to carefully lock on and hit it, and if you take too long to lock on, it goes away, and then you can't get it. You have to get a perfect score. Next up, what is this? This is... Oh, this is the only P-hat in the game. The bad side is this grotto is hard to see. Good side is it's the only P-hat in the game. Solid B. Next up is the only Dodongo in the game? No, only 2 Dodongos in the game who drop money. I like this cave. It gives you money. B. I don't know why, but I like these 2 random caves. Next up is Bankrupting. I love this one because it's bankrupting the people in the top left. What is it? North Clocktown. You can actually get this one in the first 3 days, and I think I always do, just because it's funny to make them sad. This one is the 10-second game. If you don't know it, it's basically you have to stop the timer at 10 seconds exactly. The timer will go away. If you have the bunny hood, it's easier because you get the timer to stay for some reason. This one is Kamara's Mask. Basically, it's just that it's a fetch quest. That's all it is. You get the Kamara Mask from the guy who's dead at the north, and then you use it to teach those people to dance. Next up is Paper. Listen, we've all been there. We've all ran out of toilet paper at some point. And it sucks. I can sympathize with this dude. And while that piece of heart may be fucking disgusting, you've saved this man's life. Next up. Oh yeah, this one where you just spy on a dude. So add stalking to the list of crimes that you've committed for heart pieces. You stalk a dude, watch him go into a cave, and then say, hey, give me a heart piece. Technically, it is a shop heart piece, but you can just keep saying no, and he'll lower his price to 100. The Keaton mask. It's a little quiz, but I think it's frustrating, honestly, because Keaton is a shit. I also don't think it's obvious the Keaton mask does this. I don't know if there's anything that tells you. And also, Keaton asks the weirdest questions, so if you don't look it up, it sucks. This one requires the Postman's hat. It's just a fetch quest, so it's just C. This one. So now we're actually going Living Clock Town with the heart pieces. This one is alright. It's another C. You just have to climb a tree. It can be frustrating to deal with the birds that are attacking you on it. This next one is the next title deed, and as we get further into title deeds, the better I feel about them. So this is a B. The title deeds, I think, is an interesting way to have a full heart container locked behind just doing this trade sequence. Next up is, okay, I love this one because of the ways you can do it. So this is an S tier. The way this one works is you're supposed to take a picture of somewhere in Woodfall, or somewhere in the southern swamp, and you get a piece of heart to the tourist center. It's like, do this. It's a photo competition. Really nice. Now, the good way to get it is through the picture of the Deku King, which is amazing. It's really cool to get this picture. However, it's funny as shit that you could just take a picture of his son, who is Tingle, and he would be so ashamed to give you the heart piece. I think that flavor to it makes it so good. This one is sneaking about the Deku Palace. I honestly think this is an A, just because it's a reward for do more crimes, get more rewards. This one is just in the Woodfall area. It's C. Nothing noteworthy about it. Just navigate. This one I don't like. This is an F to me. What it is that you have to play the statues in Termina Field, a song, but I feel like there's nothing that really communicates that you're supposed to play them the song tied to, the waking of the dungeons, and it connects the caves, which you don't normally do. Next up is Romani Ranch. Okay. So this one is the doggy betting. I also hate this one because even with the Mask of Truth, you only have slightly increased your odds. And it can be frustrating. Okay, so I hate this shooting minigame because it's so easy to fuck up. This shooting minigame I love. There are two different shooting minigames. One is a pain in the ass, the other is so much fun. And I don't understand how both of them are supposed to be similar. Okay, so this one's not a crime, but it's funny. Let's ruin a marriage. By doing good at minigames, you make two couples doubt their love. What the fuck? I love it. This one is the next title deed, which means it is an A tier. Right? Yeah. Yes. I don't know why, but I just enjoy the title deed chain more and more. This one is the maze game. I don't like the maze game. It's frustrating. It's just navigate an invisible maze. This one is the iconic canyon graveyard. You tell skeletons to do some grave robbing, and then you do some grave robbing. I've already said it before, apparently crimes make good heart pieces, and that continues here. This is a solid A. Not an S, because you have to do it 3 times for 3 different things. Speaking of which, this is one of those things. In Majora's Mask 3DS, this is a heart piece. This is normally a bottle. In the original version, you have to navigate Dalape, and I fucking hate this. I hate it so much because Dalape moves like shit, and you just have to navigate him through this area to find 3 flames. One is almost always on the 2nd floor, so you have to do that. It's just, oh. He moves at such a slow pace in a game where you're on the clock. Okay, next is this one is just in a beehive. I forgot this one existed. It's a C. It's not noteworthy. Next one, however, is great. This is an A. Actually, yes, this is an S tier. You feed a fish some more fish until he gets so big he does cannibalism. Why? I don't know. The downside is you have to get all the fish, but it's so weird that I love it. Next up is the Zora Cape. What is this one? Oh, this one is just go to the bottom of a waterfall. Not, it's another seed here. It's not good or bad. It's just eh. This one is the Pirate's Fortress. I like the heart piece in the Pirate's Fortress. It's just a little timed race. I think it's fun. I think it's a solid B. It's not amazing. But it's just a little fun thing. Next is the Pinnacle Rock one. I like this one. Flavor-wise, I like it. You free Pinnacle Rock, and so the seahorse gets its girlfriend. That's cute. Next up, we have the Zora Hall. Okay, this one, while it can be annoying to know, I enjoy it because it's just, it actually involves the band and you understand like this jamming thing and you read some notebooks. It takes work to get, and I think, you can skip all of that work if you just know the combination. But I enjoy it. Next up is the next title deed, which is one of the two S-tier title deeds, because at this point it's gotten ridiculous in this chain, and also this one is in the fucking Zora girl's room, which is so strange. Like, why is the guy trying to do business in someone's dressing room? Next up is the beavers. The beavers, while annoying, like, they could be frustrating. I just enjoy the beavers flavor. Where did that go? What the fuck? Where did the beavers go? Where did my beavers go? I... Okay. I don't know. Beavers vanished. That was weird. Oh, there's my beavers. Beavers go in fucking A tier. I love my beavers. They're ridiculous. Next up is... this one is using the Scarecrow song in Snowhead. I don't like this one because I forget it exists because it's just so far out there. And the Scarecrow song is such a... like, it's already a niche thing in OOT. It's even more niche here, and I always forget you can make it. Very similar here. I think it's slightly better, but not any, like, noteworthy amount. Next up is... okay, so this is the Great Bay Coast Sculptural House. So you do this house to get a wallet upgrade. But if you have the Captain's Mask, you can actually learn about this combination, which is random. So you actually have to, like, do the information behind it. I think it's a cute little thing. Just a B. It's... sometimes getting to some of them can be annoying. Plus, you have to take notes throughout, and if you don't, because you're also getting the skulls, Skulltulas suck, and also you're on a time limit to get all the Skulltulas at the same time. These two are a D. They're the exact same thing. It's just put on the all-night mask, listen to a story, answer a question. And also you lose time from doing it. Finally, we have the last land title deed, which has gotten so ridiculous in this chain that it is also an S tier. That you've gotten all the title deeds, just so you can get this last heart piece. Actually get a heart piece in a fourth. Next is the Couple's Mask. This is an F, because the act of getting it is really simple. It's the act of getting the Couple's Mask, which leads into it, that is so long and tedious. Like, it's a 3-day cycle on its own if you're doing Anju and Cafe, honestly. You can't do it with anything else. Next is on the road to Goron Village. Which one is this? Oh yeah, there's a frozen lake. I don't like this one because it requires you to refight Goat, but it's better than the F tiers. Because you either have to refight Goat, or you have to very quickly, after fighting Goat, go get the Zora Mask, come back and get it. Speaking of ones I don't like, I really hate Don Garros. You have to get the 5 frogs, which means you have to keep going back into dungeons. And unlike Goat's fight, where you walk in, use a warp, get it, you have to go to the rooms that these frogs are tied to. Now, realistically, you can do it from the Great Bay when you beat Great Bay, but it's still frustrating to get the rest, and you have to make sure you've gotten the mask at that point. If you didn't get the mask for some reason, which is a whole thing in itself. You have to go back into the Great Bay one, find the frog, kill it, go back into the swamp, what's it called? Woodfall, kill that one. Then you have to get the other 3 frogs. It's bad. You also have to defeat Goat again. So it's 3 different dungeons. I like dungeon being related to heart pieces. I don't like basically doing 3 dungeons to have to get a heart piece when it's doing them again. Next up is... what is this one? Oh, this is the Fisherman's Boat minigame. It's alright. You just hop onto where torches light up. It's like a D. It's not even entertaining. It's just really bad, Simon Says, really. Iconic Canyon. Where is this one? Oh, this one is just kill the Post Sisters again. Because they reused stuff. It's a C. You just fight the Post Sisters for some reason in a thing. Ancient Iconic Canyon. Oh, this one is weird. It's a C. You have to, like, climb to the top, shoot a thing, shoot a switch to hop into a flower. Yeah. And then you have to jump down. It's... ugh. Next up, in Iconic Canyon. Oh, this one I like. So this one has the Poe Collector again. But you have to do... it's weird what you have to do for this one. So with the Poe Collector done, you have to go to, like, this hidden area, and you refight the mini-bosses, and 3 of them are fine. One of them is Wizrobe, again, who you fight, like, 27 times in the game. But you do these mini-bosses, and it also cares about your heart total to get access to them. I don't know. I think this one's neat, but for weird reasons. Like I said, I like the mini-boss refighting. I just think it's very strange to do. Next up is the 5,000 rupee one. It's alright. It's not a money heart piece because you're going to naturally want to save money anyway. The next 4, I think, all 4 of these I would put in S tier. I fucking love this last heart container that you get in Majora's Mask. So all 4 of these, as I put these up, they're very similar. They are, you have to do the challenges that the kids have in the moon, and they're all secret little things in the side. But they are, to some extent, kind of like mastery over the different forms you have, because of how they're all themed. And I just think it's really well designed how all 4 of them are. I think the Zora one is the weakest of the 4, but they're all solid together. There's something where them being so close helps them rather than hurts them, because they're all unique tests of your skill with the different ones. Okay, next up we have Oracle of Ages heart pieces. So, yes, these look like they're all ages. This first one is free as shit. It is just a C tier. It is, you got a shovel, use it. A lot of these are going to be free as shit. This one is, hey, you got a seed satchel, go back to that tree you saw. Most of these aren't noteworthy. This one is... oh, this is Maple again. I think the Maple one is better in Ages, because you have more control on where she spawns. Or you have a little bit more control. I think it's an A tier. I don't even remember where I put the old Maple one. Like, that was so long ago when this... the old Maple one was C. Actually, this one should be B. I think that Ages Maple is slightly better. I think you have access to Pegasus Seeds. You have access to Pegasus Seeds. When do you get them first? You have access to earlier in seasons, but I think it just works better with controlling Maple and Ages into a place where you can actually get what you want. This is the first... this is an F. I fucking hate the Gacha one. If this is one of the other set of 3. I'll go ahead and find... here's the Gacha one for seasons. So the way they work is you have to plant a Gacha tree, wait for it to grow, which is kill 30 enemies, and then open it and hope you get it. The thing is, and if you don't know, the place you plant it drastically affects what the odds are for things inside it. So if you don't know that, and nothing communicates that, you will never get it. Next one, this is another Ages one. This is just free on the way. It's C. The Ages and Season games really have bad heart pieces. This one is what? This is Wing Dungeon. Burn a tree. Yeah, you get this one on the way to Seeds, I think. Yeah. This next one is, hey, God, like all of these ones are just C. This next one actually isn't. This one's good. So this next one requires you to be aware of the mirroring effect, which it's not fully mirroring. It's just you have to. It's a B. Like it's not much better, but it's just using understanding how to switch between time well and like structure the world. Because by that point, you've gotten access to the tune of current switch, which you go from the past to anywhere in the present. This one's a shop heart piece. We hate shop heart pieces. Next up is this is just a suspicious bomb wall. Nothing noteworthy. Next up, this one is an actual time one. You have to pay attention. I think it doesn't work too well. I think it's only a B. But it's all right. This one I actually like. It is such a strange thing that I like this one, but it is reward for you once you can swim in the ocean. It is a reward for you exploring the Under Crescent Island, which is such an interesting area in the first place. Okay, so that is all the Ages ones. Next is Seasons, or the remaining Seasons one. Where is it? So first off, we have this one, which is, you got Ember Seeds, just use them. Like I said, none of these are too amazing. This one I like because it requires you to use Winter in an interesting way. So I think this is a B. You have to actually backtrack once you've gotten Winter. This one is, hey, you got the bracelet, just use it. Like you see this one, turn around to get it. This one is a shop one, but I like it because it's such a weird shop one because the shop doesn't know what the fuck it is. It's an A on my list because it's such a, you trade ore chunks and Ember Seeds. It's not like price gouging at all. It's not 500 is too much, but fucking have some seeds, okay. And you're gonna get the ore anyway because you need it for the bow that you're buying, the head bow, not the shooty bow. Which there is no bow in Ages or Seasons anyway. Next up is Moblin Keep. Where's the actually no, not Moblin Keep. Where's the next one? I don't see Mob. Oh no, there it is. This Moblin Keep one because I it's next on my list. I'm actually looking at, not the image list. This one I like because it's just nothing makes you have to deal with the Moblin. It's just either getting annoyed by a text box. No, this is an S tier. You either get annoyed by a text box and decide to get your revenge, or you get sick of the bombs that's being thrown at you and get your revenge. You don't have to do this. And if you do it in a linked game, you also save Princess Zelda inadvertently. Next is Eyeglass Lake. Oh yeah, this one. You drain a lake. I think it's a neat power that Summer has. I think it's a B. I think it's... Nope, B. There we go. I think it's interesting that Summer can, like, change water. This one is free. You just fall down a ledge that you see. This one requires you to know... This one I don't like, because it requires you to realize that spring affects this random plant that you see much, much, much earlier. This one I do like, because it requires some spatial awareness of, like, how do you get back up if it's not summer. And so it's while it is a Rocks Cape use it type thing, it just works out better in my opinion. This one is basically just on the way. It's a small cave that you'll end up seeing. I think, yes, that is we are down to finally just Ocarina of Time. So we had some Ocarina of Time ones earlier. First off, Dape's Dig minigame is a terrible minigame. It's random. You spend 20 rupees, hope every dig. It's frustrating. The Lon Ranch one is iconic. It is classic. It is good. I fucking love this one because it's so simple. It's, hey, there's some weird boxes. You move them around, get your stuff. Fishing sucks ass. I hate fishing. Actually, no. This is D tier. Child fishing is fine. Where is it? While I'm on the topic of fishing, where is adult fishing? Adult fishing is technically the gold scale, which means it's the okay. Okay, so never mind. Fishing, you're tied to fishing itself. You're going in F.
This one is going in D. That one that I just put up is the dive all the way to the bottom of the lake lab. Technically, you're supposed to get the gold scale for it, but there is a trick you can do where you use iron boots and a hook shot to just skip that requirement, and it makes the fact that you don't have to do adult fishing so good. Next is a... This is a D. I hate the very long, very, very long game assignment says. However, making a Skull Kid not so lonely by playing Saria's song, that's a B. Bringing the dog back, I don't know if anything makes it clear what Richard is, but it's a C. The dog can be a little fussy at times. The Goron pot is, if it wasn't for the faces being so ridiculous, it would be lower, but it's a B. You learn the timing, it's just blow it up when the face you want is facing you from the right edge, or whatever, the edge that you normally want to throw from. It's fine. This one. This is going in S for the dumbest reason. So, there are 3 ways to get this one. 1, you can get it in the way that's like expected, which is hookshot, fall into it. 2, you can jump with a cuckoo from where the dude who's running is, who's building what will eventually become the shooting gallery as an adult. Or 3, the funniest one yet. I don't know if it works in the 3DS version, but in the original, the stacks of like hay or whatever that Anju has below, you can actually just jump up through the little ceiling, because the stacks will let you grab the edge next to like the bottom of the hole that you go into. And I think that just makes it wonderful that it's such a ridiculous thing. Anyway, Bombchu Bowling sucks ass. That's all I need to say. This one is a shop art piece, so therefore it must be an F. This one is using Kuko's down Zora's River. I think it's fine. It's not a... It's eh. This one is worse because carrying it to Kuko all the way up Zora's River sucks. This next one is... What is this torch one? Give me a second. Oh, this is torch running in Zora's Domain. It's a B. I think it's fun. I think it's neat to do that you use fire in the water area. This one is an A, as weird as it sounds, because while it is this random graveyard box that like it's just a reward for planting a bean, you can actually just get it with a boomerang throw, which is weird. It's like a weird setup to learn, but you can just cheat it. The one in the windmill is another just S tier iconic because it's such a... It stands out, and one, the intended way exists, and the unintended way is just, you can just hop up there. You do a backflip onto like one of the middle edges where it's dividing the fourths, and then do a jump, and you just grab the middle edge. It just works. Like, OOT is such a janky game that it makes good ones work. The Dompe race is good. It's fun. I think it's an A. I love the Dompe race because it's just simple. I mean, it's also funny to watch yourself get on fire. Next up, this is the Man on the Roof. I like Man on Roof because there's 3 ways to get it again. This is an A tier. Actually, no, it's another S tier. It joins the hole for the dumb reason. There's 3 ways to get it. You can either get it the intended way, which is hookshotting up there. You can get it the way of you literally can just jump up there with an adult. Or the funniest way, you can just do a side hop as a kid from the tower and you land up there and get it because the guy doesn't have a thing set for kid, or doesn't have a different set for kid. 50 gold Skulltulas suck. That's a D. I think you can... No, that's an F. I hate Skulltulas. I don't think they're good collectible, especially... Never mind. This actually does go in D. 100 Skulltulas is fucking worthless because it's just infinite money that you don't need. 50 is alright. I think you can safely say you'll get 50 by the end. This one is an A. It is the top of Lakeside Lab, but it has 2 ways to get it, which helps me like it more. One, you can, and they're both intended ways. You can plant the bean, climb up, hop up there, or you could just play the Scarecrow song. Both just work. Next up is, this is the other place for a gold scale. You just use iron boots instead. It's just at the bottom of a random hole. I actually am putting it in D. I don't like that it's just a random hole out in... It's just meant to be, hey, do you have a rumble pack type thing, which is eh. This is the top of Death Mountain Trail, another iconic one, because It's two ways to get it. You have the intended way, which is the bean plant, or the kid way, which is just do a sick backflip. Like, I don't know. I like that OOT's heart pieces are so they're just sitting there, so it works well to get them. This is the top of the Mount volcano, and believe it or not, it's an A tier because there's two ways to get it again. You either have the intended bean plant, or you do a sick. You just backwalk with hover boots. It's so weird that the game just works with this. This one is on top of the ice. I'm putting this in D because I really hate the ice physics. They don't. It feels like they don't work well. Next up is this is the ice cavern one. I think it's C. It's just on the way. You see it, just melt it, get it. This is the one where you drown yourself. I like drowning yourself, so it's a B. Basically, in Zora's Fountain, you just put on the iron boots after getting them and just sink. Okay, next up we have... Okay, so this one is in Zora's River. You play Song of Storms for the frogs. This one I like, because it's just very simple. You give the frogs water, they want water. Anyway, the next one I hate, because you have to play... This is an F tier. It's the same input every time for the challenge, but you have to play all 5 non-Song of Storms frogs, play Song of Storms, and then do this fucking long-ass input thing. It's so long. Anyway, this is an S tier. This is the minigame, the chest minigame where you have to open a chest to get the key. I love this one for a very simple reason. You just cheat. Like, that's all you do, is you just, if you can get it the legitimate way, or you can just use the lens of truth and just cheat. It's basically a crime, and apparently crimes make good heart pieces. This one is just at the top of Gerudo Fortress. You can long shot to it. You can use Scarecrow. It's not interesting enough for the two ways to matter. This next one is the horseback archery. It's C. I think horseback archery itself, actually no, it's D. First time playing it, horseback archery sucks to do. But once you get used to it, it's just kind of boring. Finally, the last heart piece in the entire series. This is an S for the dumbest of reasons. So this heart piece is in Gerudo Valley, Desert Colossus, and you see it when Sheik teaches you the song to warp here, and the only reason it is an S is that every single bean plant you can get without using a bean except this one. You don't have to use anything for the other bean plant spots to get them, but for some reason this heart piece requires you to use the fucking bean plant, and it is magical that it exists somehow. Anyway, that is every single heart piece in the Zelda series ranked in a tier list, especially this fucking one. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Likes, comments, subscribe, whatever. Till then, bye.